Chapter 201. Old Taoist Gong Su, Gong Shan and Gong Ming, Reverend Yu Yan, Reverend Shui Rou, Hua Lan and Hua can all understand that this time they have really made a big profit. If those loose immortals in the chaotic astral ocean knew that this Nine Swords immortal mansion had such an immortal mansion and such dense elemental holy energy, perhaps the loose immortals who came here would all be sixth tribulation or seventh tribulation or above. Second tribulation and third tribulation loose immortals like them are simply not qualified to enter such a treasured place. After all, loose immortals are divided into different levels. Generally, only those who have reached the fourth tribulation are considered to be in the same level. After all, fourth tribulation loose immortals are equivalent to level 1 immortals and have many immortal-like magic abilities, such as teleportation and the ability to forge immortal weapons. These are only the fundamental differences. However, third tribulation and second tribulation loose immortals are simply unable to do so. Only on the Tenglong continent, where Xiationists dominate, Old Taoist Gong Su and the others are worshipped by those Xiationists and respected by those schools. However, in the chaotic astral ocean, those fourth tribulation loose immortals do not think highly of them and even do not approve of them. This time they were able to come here for two reasons. First, the news about the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion has only spread among the top figures in the north of the chaotic astral ocean. Second, only the members of those schools in the Penglai Immortal region and the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon know about this news. They have only told the members of their own schools on the Tenglong continent. As for those formidable loose immortals, they simply do not know about this news. Lucky. Old Taoist Gong Su and the others all sigh in their hearts about their luck to be able to enter such a blessed place. Judging from the aura of this immortal mansion in front of them, this Nine Swords immortal mansion was definitely not built by ordinary immortals. It was most likely built by a great golden immortal, who represents the highest status in the minds of loose immortals. If I absorb elemental holy energy to practice, my loose immortal body will definitely become even more condensed and refined. I'll definitely reach the fourth tribulation loose immortal level even faster. Old Taoist Gong Su is excited in his heart. With elemental holy energy, it'll definitely be easier for me to overcome the loose immortal tribulation. Thinking of the terror of the loose immortal tribulation, Old Taoist Gong Su's heart cannot help trembling. The first and second loose immortal tribulations were very easy for him, but the third one makes him feel as if he has to undergo the 9-9 to heaven tribulation again. According to legend, the loose immortal tribulation starts from the fourth tribulation onwards as tribulation is tribulation. The further one progressed, the more terrifying it became. If Old Taoist Gong Su continues to practice like this, he will not have any confidence in overcoming the fourth heavenly tribulation without any lucky encounters. This is probably the reason why so many loose immortal experts have entered the chaotic astral ocean. After all, the chaotic astral ocean has many rare heavenly treasures. Many of the treasures were even found in the immortal realm. For example, a certain place in the chaotic astral ocean also had elemental spirit chi. It wasn't something that ordinary loose immortals could occupy. The loose immortal who occupied it was at least an 8th or 10th tribulation loose immortal. They were loose immortals with 2 or 3 tribulations, so they could only dream of occupying such a treasured land. Humph, these 7 fellas, loose immortals and loose devils, have all gone crazy after discovering this so-called elemental holy energy. They don't look like senior experts at all. Seeing the 7 loose immortals and loose devils rushing over, Ida says so. Reverend Yen Su however says, "Elemental holy energy, Ida. Do you know what elemental holy energy is?" Ida is startled. Only when he heard those ecstatic loose immortals and loose devils exclaim uncontrollably just now did he know that the aura which made people feel extremely comfortable was elemental holy energy. As for what elemental holy energy is, he really does not know. Ida, you at least know about natural holy energy, don't you? Reverend Yen Su asks in reply. Course. Natural holy energy is extremely important and fundamental to our practice, no matter if we're Xiaxianists, Xiamoists or Zuyoists. What's the matter? Why do you ask this? Ida looks at Reverend Yen Su and says. Reverend Yen Su says smilingly, Natural holy energy is to us what elemental holy energy is to immortals and devils. Boring. Azure Dragon's voice rises. At the moment, he is walking towards the green jade palace together with the 3 yellow-clad men behind him. Qin Yu and Li Er, however, look at Azure Dragon. What he and the 3 yellow-clad men did just now was indeed extremely astonishing. Relying on a mysterious formation and some kind of magic treasure, the 3 yellow-clad men unexpectedly healed more than half of Azure Dragon's broken leg bone. The Dragon Clan has a profound foundation. Some miraculous magic treasures and moves are simply unimaginable to ordinary people. Moreover, the Golden Dragon Clan, which is the noblest clan in the Dragon Clan, even has hereditary memories, so it can have some miraculous skills. Li Er says slowly beside Qin Yu. Hereditary memories. Qin Yu looks at Li Er in slight astonishment. Regarding the Dragon Clan, Qin Yu also did not know much about it. At most, he only understood it literally. This Dragon Clan is naturally a clan composed of many dragons. As for the rest, Qin Yu does not understand. Only when he saw Black Dragon Yen Mo did he confirm one thing. There are black dragons in the Dragon Clan, and they are even more formidable than Azure Dragons. Is there a golden dragon in the Dragon Clan? Qin Yu does not know. But after hearing about hereditary memories, Qin Yu remembers Xiao He and Ho Fei. Xiao He and Ho Fei also have hereditary memories. Don't waste time, the black-haired old man says with a cold laugh. He then immediately goes straight for the Green Jade Palace. We're not powerful enough to get those immortal treasures, but after coming to the Immortal Palace, we can take a random piece of elemental holy rock back home, and your practice will improve rapidly. Yen Mo and the black-haired old man also go to the Green Jade Palace together. Big brother Qin Yu, let's go too, Li Er says smilingly. Qin Yu and Li Er also go over together. Ide and Reverend Yen Su also follow them. Ide, Reverend Yen Su, Azure Dragon and Yen Mo all vomit a terrifying amount of blood in the end because of that flute sound. They have even vomited quite a lot of blood from their hearts. The injury to them was really too great. But thanks to the effect of holy pills, their injuries have healed quite a bit. In the Immortal Palace, Ida and the others do not dare to have extravagant thoughts. After all, there are still 7 loose immortals and loose devils in front of them. They can only hope that those loose immortals and loose devils will remember the promise they made outside the gate of the Immortal Mansion at that time. In the Green Jade Palace, when Qin Yu and Li Er come to the outside of the palace side by side, those loose immortals and loose devils have already gone through the gate of the palace. The Green Jade Palace is very large. At first glance, it is at least several tens km in both length and width. It is simply comparable to a luxurious imperial palace. There are pavilions, terraces and pagodas everywhere. If one took a closer look, the materials used for the carvings were at least top-grade crystals. What's this gate made of? Qin Yu looks at those 2 huge dark golden gates and asks doubtfully. Li Er observes carefully for a while, then says, "This kind of material shouldn't exist in the mortal world. According to some information in my clan, the material used for this gate should be some kind of or from the immortal world. Even in the immortal world, it should be extremely precious, comparable to middle-grade elemental holy rock." Elemental holy rock. What's that? Qin Yu asks doubtfully. Li Er says smilingly, "Elemental holy rock is a crystal used to store elemental holy energy. Generally, immortals and devils rely on elemental holy rock to practice. Absorbing the energy in elemental holy rock to practice is much faster than absorbing elemental holy energy from nature." Qin Yu understands in his heart. Li Er leads Qin Yu through the gates and points to various parts of the front hall. "Big brother Qin Yu, look. The entire palace is made of green jade. Look carefully. The places where the walls intersect and even the jade pillars of the palace are all connected together. They are all one." Qin Yu takes a closer look. Indeed, this is the case. The entire palace, whether it is the jade pillars or the steps, is completely connected together. None of it exists alone. If my guess is correct, This green jade palace should have been carved from a rarely seen and enormous piece of elemental holy ore. Do judge. Qin Yu is shocked. Li Er, you say. This huge palace, is completely carved from a huge piece of elemental holy ore? Qin Yu finds it a bit hard to believe. Li Er nods and says, yes, but this is really big, so big that it makes me surprised. Such a huge piece of elemental holy ore. Look carefully. The walls all have the same color. This shows that this is a very high-quality piece of elemental holy ore. Elemental holy ore, what is it? Qin Yu asks doubtfully. Li Er answers, elemental holy ore is not so easy to mine. When a vein of elemental holy ore is mined, it is usually first mined out pieces of elemental holy ore. Then some of the impurities in the elemental holy ore are removed, leaving behind the most essential part, which is the elemental holy ore. Qin Yu understands. Haha, isn't this like iron ore and iron? If you want to make iron, you have to make it from iron ore. Li Er frowns and says, however, ordinary elemental holy ore has a lot of impurities, and is generally not pure. Look carefully. This piece of elemental holy ore, which is used to carve this entire green jade palace, has frighteningly few impurities. Can be said that if such a huge piece of elemental holy ore is really made, at least half the volume of elemental holy ore can be made. The ratio is too high. Even the crystals used to forge holy weapons will be much smaller in volume after the impurities are removed. The highest quality elemental holy ore can still be found in a vein of elemental holy ore. But for such a huge piece of elemental holy ore, and such a high-quality one at that, even in the immortal world, perhaps it's hard to find such a huge piece of elemental holy ore in 10,000 veins of elemental holy ore. Li Er seems to know some things about the immortal world. Qin Yu gives a smile. Looks like this immortal Yang status in the immortal world is still very high. Yes, very high, it should be very high. Li Er says with a nod. Good heavens, elemental holy ore. The walls of the entire palace are unexpectedly made entirely of elemental holy ore. Even the jade pillars, tables and stools are all made of elemental holy ore. The 7 loose immortals and loose devils like old Taoist Gonsu carefully examine the square in the center of the palace. In the end, they even discuss with each other. Almost doubting, then confirming. In the end, they finally confirm one thing. This palace is full of elemental holy ore. After all, old Taoist Gonsu's group is only a 3rd tribulation loose immortal at most, so they basically have never seen elemental holy ore. They have only heard about it from some seniors. But after relying on their own hearsay and almost verifying it, they finally confirm it. Li Er has made a judgment at a glance, but these loose immortals and loose devils have examined it for a long time. Junior brother Gone Ming, junior brother Gone Shan, our chance to soar has come. As long as we have this piece of elemental holy ore, no matter if it's the Qingshu Temple or us, we'll be able to reach unprecedented heights in 1,000,000 years. Old Taoist Gone Su says to his 2 junior brothers via holy sense communication. At the moment, Gone Ming and Gone Shan, who look honest, are also excited inside. Senior brother, let's risk it. No matter what, even if we don't want anything else, we'll at least take some of this elemental holy ore with us. We don't need a lot. There are so many tables and stools in this huge square. We only need 3 to 5 tables. Gone Ming also says via holy sense communication. Their eyes are red. Not only old Taoist Gone Su and his 2 junior brothers, but also Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou. Hualan and Huakan's eyes have also turned red. They all talk to each other via holy sense communication. At the moment, Qin Yu, Azure Dragon and the others have also entered the huge square. Yen Lang, it's elemental holy ore. But it should be elemental holy ore. Because its purity is extremely high, it can be used as elemental holy ore. A yellow-clad man surveys the ground for a while, then says to Azure Dragon in a low voice. The Dragon Clan's knowledge is indeed incomparable to that of other Xiationists. Azure Dragon says with a sigh in a low voice. What a pity! If I had known earlier that this 9 Swords Immortal Mansion was such a treasured place, I would have let those loose demon seniors of my clan come here this time. Yen Lang, there's no other way. There's an extremely large amount of elemental holy ore here. Presumably those loose immortals and loose devils won't care too much if we take some away. If there's really no other way, we'll have to join hands and rob by force. That yellow-clad man's eyes flash with fierceness. No hurry. It won't be too late to get into action at the end. Azure Dragon says. Azure Dragon, Qin Yu, Yenimo and Ida are not the main characters at the moment. The main characters are those 7 loose immortals and loose devils. At the moment, the 7 loose immortals and loose devils are completely shocked by the fact that this huge palace is made up entirely of elemental holy ore. These 7 people cannot tell elemental holy ore apart. Perhaps they simply do not know what elemental holy ore is. Everybody, now we all know how precious this palace is. We've only just reached the 3rd tribulation level. Those loose immortals, loose devils and loose demons in the chaotic astral ocean simply don't approve of us. And the almost limitless amount of elemental holy ore in this palace is our chance. Old Taoist Gon Su looks at the other several loose immortals and loose devils and says slowly, Reverend Shui Ro, Reverend Yu Yen, Hua Lan and Hua can all look at him and listen carefully. For us, there's really too much elemental holy ore here. Moreover, as far as I know, the spatial rings of our mortal world simply can't store immortal treasures. There are so many tables and stools here. Let's take some of them back, shall we? Old Taoist Gon Su says smilingly. These arrogant loose immortals and loose devils are now ready to take others' tables and stools. Chapter 202. Suddenly I felt confused. Frustrated. When I returned to school, Tomato was full of ambition, and no difficulties could crush me. But suddenly, everything changed. First I moved to the dormitory. There was no internet or phone connection. Tomato couldn't go online at all. He could apply for a wireless internet service, but he didn't know how. For the past 2 days, Tomato wrote in the dormitory and went to the all-night classroom to update on the school's wireless internet service. But the all-night classroom was very popular. When Tomato went there, it was always full. Tomato used to go online on his laptop in the hallway outside the classroom so that there could be a wireless internet service here. Yes, it was possible to upload to an internet cafe, but the new dormitory was inside the school, and the nearest internet cafe was quite far away. Also, the internet cafes around the school were always full. Felt very tired. No matter if it was the all-night classroom or the internet cafe, there was a shortage of seats. I was like an idiot waiting outside to update. Sometimes I would update in the hallway. Felt tired. During the summer break I was full of ambition, saying that I could write 2 chapters a day. But when I looked at the class schedule I was dumbfounded. Monday my schedule was almost full in the morning and afternoon, and I had an elective class in the evening. When was I going to write? When was I going to upload? 3rd year, so it was the most important semester. I suddenly felt like my world was collapsing. It seemed like I couldn't complete my mission. 2 chapters a day, it was really difficult to complete. If the dormitory had internet, Tomato could stay up late, but there was no internet in the dormitory. Originally I said that I would explode today. Tomato also said that I would explode. But suddenly, I couldn't explode, especially when I just found out about the class schedule. It felt very oppressive, very heavy. Tomato was a man of his word. But when he couldn't fulfill it, Tomato felt very uncomfortable. Tomato wasn't a good student. He wrote every day and he majored in mathematics. It wasn't something that could be memorized. He had to take a makeup exam when school started, so he had to attend classes and update. It was very stressful and I felt like I couldn't breathe. Tomato used to do so and so. He needed to get monthly votes. Forget it, I won't try to get on the monthly votes leaderboard. Tomato won't try to get on the leaderboard. As for updates, Tomato guaranteed that he would update at least 1 chapter every day. When he was free he would write more. When he was nervous he would update less. Tomato tried his best to write the story. He could only try his best to improve on the quality. Tomato felt that he had lost face. He had said that he couldn't complete the mission, and he really couldn't do it. Monthly votes, forget it. She was too embarrassed to ask for the tomato. I'll update it in the future. I'll update it every night before 8 p.m. I'll update it as much as I can, at least one chapter. That's all. As for the rest, Tomato didn't want to say anything else. Shameless, shameless. If you want to scold Tomato, then scold Tomato. Tomato, September 2nd in the all-night classroom. Chapter 203. The spatial rings of old Taoist Gansu and the others are only ordinary spatial rings. After all, storage immortal items are even more precious. The forging methods and the materials needed to forge them are really too rare. Just the materials alone are hard to gather, not to mention the forging methods. Shoulder them and hand them. Even loose immortals, how many can they take? Hualan says smilingly. What old Taoist Gansu said makes sense. There are so many tables and stools here. How many can we take? You can take as many as you want. It'll depend on your own ability. Don't be so formal, my brother will take the lead. After saying, Hualan and Hua can take the lead and run towards the nearest table made of elemental holy ore. Old Taoist Gansu and his two junior brothers exchange a look, then also run towards those elemental holy ore tables. Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen even run extremely fast towards those tables made of elemental holy ore. Seeing this scene, Li Er covers her mouth and laughs. What are you laughing at, Li Er? Qin Yu says doubtfully. These elemental holy ore are indeed very precious to loose immortals, so it's very normal for them to do this. Even though they've somewhat lost their status as loose immortals and loose devils. But, compared to such treasures, it's pardonable for them to do this. It's not worth laughing at, is it? Li Er says to Qin Yu with a faint smile. Just watch. Watch what? Qin Yu is startled. Li Er pouts with her mouth. Qin Yu looks at those loose immortals and loose devils. As soon as he sees them, Qin Yu also bursts out laughing. All of them puff out their cheeks and exert their utmost strength. The immortal elemental energy in their bodies is agitated. Old Taoist Gansu and the other experts use all the energy in their bodies to try to pull up those tables. However, no matter how much energy they use, they are unable to move the tables in the slightest, as if they have taken root. The power of a third tribulation loose immortal. How great is that power? Not only old Taoist Gansu, his two junior brothers, Reverend Yu Yen, Hualan and Huacan, but even Reverend Shui Rou's fair face also slightly reddens at the moment. Perhaps because she is a woman, she has not exerted so much strength with both hands like old Taoist Gansu and the other experts. She only uses her immortal elemental energy with one hand to lift the tables. Wang, a faint golden light appears on the surface of every part of the palace's walls, jade pillars, tables and stone benches. Old Taoist Gansu and the others all tremble as if they have been struck by lightning. They are then sent flying several tens meters backwards and fall heavily on the ground. It's a restrictive spell. Qin Yu's eyes lit up. Big brother Qin Yu, do you understand? Li Er said with a smile. Qin Yu asked doubtfully. Li Er, you already knew? Li Er says with a smile. Big brother Qin Yu, this is an immortal's mansion. How can things in an immortal's mansion be taken away by people who want to? Moreover, these stone pillars and tables here are all connected together. What's so strange about having a restriction formation here? It would be strange if that immortal Ni Yang didn't have a restriction formation here. How will these loose immortals and loose devils react now? Qin Yu asked smilingly. You'll know when you see it. Li Er wrinkled her nose and giggled. Old Taoist Gansu and the others look at each other in dismay. Haha. We also underestimated that immortal Ni Yang. Since he was able to leave behind such a precious palace, how could he not have some defensive measures? We were impatient. Old Taoist Gansu said with a loud self-deprecating laugh. The others also calmed down. These loose immortals and loose devils could still feel the terrifying energy of the restrictive spell just now. Big brother, when that immortal Anayang told us to come to this palace, he must have left some treasures for us. Otherwise, why would he have let us look at this palace and not get anything? Perhaps the treasures that immortal Anayang left behind are much more precious than these tables and benches. Huacan said via holy sense communication. Hualan's heart skipped a beat. He also said via holy sense communication. You're right, second brother. Even the entire palace is made of elemental holy rock. Given such a big investment, the treasures that immortal Anayang left behind in his immortal mansion definitely can't be compared with these elemental holy rock. Let's quickly go to the main hall to have a look. At the moment, everybody is still in the square and has not gone to the main hall to have a look. Hualan immediately calls out to his brothers. The two of them then go straight for the main hall behind the square. He does not care whether old Taoist Gonsu and the others go or not. Perhaps he will be even happier if they do not go. Old Taoist Gonsu and his two junior brothers, Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Ro, are not fools. Seeing this, everybody rushes towards the main hall at the end of the square. As for Qin Yu, Azure Dragon Yen Lang, Yen Mo and the others, they naturally follow these loose immortals and loose devils closely. The square is very large. The main hall is only at the end of the square. At the end of the hall, there is a huge flower bed in front of the main hall. The flower bed gives off an aura that refreshes the mind and refreshes the mind. Even the loose immortals feel their power slowly increase when they absorb that aura. Good treasures. The 7 loose immortals and loose devils are extremely shocked in their hearts. Loose immortals are so powerful, but just absorbing the aura of those flowers and plants can make their power slowly increase. If these flowers and plants are picked and casually refined, the medicinal pills refined from them will be terrifyingly powerful. The wind moves. The 7 loose immortals and loose devils rush towards the flower bed almost at the same time. Those stone tables made of elemental holy or are connected to the ground, and their surfaces are covered with a huge restrictive spell so they cannot take them. But these holy flowers and immortal grasses should be easier to pick. Bang! The 7 loose immortals and loose devils bump into the restrictive spell on the surface of the flower bed one after another, as if they have run headfirst into a wall. The 7 of them land on the ground and look angrily at the flower bed. Restrictive spell, restrictive spell. Who is this immortal Ayang after all? Not to mention the tables and stools. He even put restrictive spells on the periphery of the flowers and plants. What kind of immortal is he? We risked our lives to come in here, but he can't even take some flowers, plants, tables and stools back? Hualan is furious. The other loose immortals and loose devils are also furious in their hearts. The first time is fine, but the second time is still a restrictive spell. How can they not be furious when they see treasures and are blocked by restrictive spells? The most important thing is that these loose immortals simply have no hope of breaking immortal Anayang's restrictive spell. Just now they collided with it, but they have already felt the surging energy of that restrictive spell. They and immortal Anayang are like ants and a giant. The gap between them and immortal Anayang is so large that it has already reached an insurmountable level. That rockery is unexpectedly not blue. Qin Yu and Li Er, who have come up from behind, say with a smile. Li Er also sees a rockery not far from the flower bed at the edge of the square. The rockery is made of crystals of several different colors. The rockery also emits astonishing elemental holy aura. Obviously, the crystals in the rockery are much denser than those elemental holy ore. The crystals in the rockery are all elemental holy ore and their grades are not low. This immortal Anayang is really generous. Li Er exclaims in admiration. Oh miss, you even know about elemental holy ore. The black-haired old man from the Inue Palace comes up and asks indifferently. Li Er takes a look at the black-haired old man and gives an indifferent smile. My uncle once told me a lot of things, so it's not strange that I know about these things. As far as I know, most of the people in the Inue Palace are women and very few men. It's really rare for a man like you to take on such an important task and come to this Nine Swords immortal mansion. My uncle once warned me. If a man comes to the Inue Palace, I'd better be careful because this person is neither yin nor yang. The black-haired old man is startled. Killing intent suddenly bursts out in his eyes. But after a while, the killing intent in his eyes completely vanishes. That loose immortal from the stellar tower is really formidable. After saying so, he walks away. The rockery. That aura naturally cannot escape the keen senses of the 7 loose immortals. However, the result is lamentable. There are even restrictive spells around the rockery. Restrictive spells. Restrictive spells. They are still restrictive spells. Not only the flower beds in the rockery, even the 2 huge golden dragon sculptures outside the main hall make these loose immortals and loose devils crazy because those golden dragon sculptures are made of metal-type elemental holy rock, which can only be found in the immortal world. Moreover, they are of extremely high quality. Various kinds of sculptures, various kinds of ornaments, even a stalk of flower. All of them are treasures of the immortal world, but they are all protected by restrictive spells. Like I said, that immortal Ni Yang has set up so many restrictive spells. Isn't he tired? Reverend Yu Yen is a Xiaoxianist, but his fiery temper cannot be restrained at the moment. He is about to go crazy. Old Taoist Gon Su's face also looks bitter. Reverend Shui Rou also frowns deeply. All of the loose immortals and loose devils have been angered to the point of going crazy by that immortal Ni Yang. In the main hall, when the 7 loose immortals and loose devils enter it, they are dumbfounded because this main hall is empty except for one thing: a stone stele. There is a black stone stele standing on one side of the main hall with 2 characters written on it. Mansion guarding. Those 2 characters give off a dignified and simple aura, which makes people unable to help focusing their attention on them. Mansion guarding stele, mansion guarding stele. Old Taoist Gon Su suddenly opens his eyes wide. His entire old face immediately turns very red because of the surge of blood in his body. His body trembles and his mouth utters ho-ho involuntarily. He looks like a mortal having an epileptic seizure. Even though it is not so serious, it is not far from it. Old Taoist Gon Su has already remembered the records about the mansion guarding stele in the Qingshu temple. As soon as he thinks of those records, he is about to go crazy. Mansion guarding stele, how can this be? The black-haired old man who came in after the 7 loose immortals and loose devils has also seen that stele. At the moment, his expression is basically no better than old Taoist Gon Su's. Mansion guarding stele, as soon as the black-haired old man thinks about the meaning of this stele, he wants to go crazy. Generally, only immortals know the secret of mansion guarding steles. Very few people know about it. Both the black-haired old man and old Taoist Gon Su unconsciously learned about the secret of mansion guarding steles by coincidence. At that time they only sighed with emotion. They never thought that they would have a chance to see a mansion guarding stele. The 2 brothers Hualan and Hua can take a look at old Taoist Gon Su, then at the black-haired old man who has just come in. The 2 brothers' eyes glitter. Big brother, look at that silly appearance of old Taoist Gon Su and that black-haired old man. They're both staring at this stele in a daze. It seems they've been greatly stimulated. I think this stele definitely contains some secret. Huakan says using his holy sense. Hualan also nods. Even the elemental holy rock just now didn't make old Taoist Gon Su lose his composure like this. Being able to make a 3rd tribulation loose immortal lose his composure like this, even to this extent. The secret in this stele is definitely not small. No matter what, we must get hold of this stele first. Yes, get hold of it. Huakan has also made up his mind. Hualan and Huakan simply do not know the secret of mansion guarding steles, but just from the expressions of old Taoist Gon Su and the black-haired old man, they can tell that this stele is definitely more precious than elemental holy rock. Even though they do not know why this stele is precious, getting hold of it first is absolutely right. At the moment, Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Rou also notice that something is wrong. Given their experience, How can they not see how shocked old Taoist Gonsu and that black-haired old man are? In addition, Hualan and Hua Kan are exchanging glances with each other, their eyes glittering strangely. Sometimes they even look at that steel. Reverend Shui Ro, this steel is definitely a treasure, and an extraordinary one at that. Even though I don't know why it's precious, we must not let it fall into other people's hands. I suggest that the two of us join forces. Reverend Yu Yen is hot-tempered, but he is not stupid. Reverend Shui Ro immediately says, "That's good. Both sides are more powerful than us. Only if we join forces can we have a chance." Through holy sense communication, the two of them have made an agreement. Mansion guarding steel, good God, how can it be? As soon as Azure Dragon and the three yellow-clad men come in, one of them says in shock. Hearing the yellow-clad man's voice, old Taoist Gonsu and the black-haired old man finally wake up completely. As soon as they wake up, the eyes of both old Taoist Gonsu and the black-haired old man radiate extremely terrifying light. They stare fiercely at that mansion guarding steel. At the moment, the two of them have lost all manners and even their eyes have turned red. That black-haired old man takes a look at old Taoist Gonsu, then looks at Reverend Yu Yen, Reverend Shui Ro and Hualan and his brother. Seeming to find that he is too weak, he immediately takes a deep breath and forcibly suppresses the greed at the bottom of his heart. "Tell me, what treasure is this mansion guarding steel? If you don't, I'll kill you." With a movement of his body, Reverend Yu Yen arrives in front of the black-haired old man. The black-haired old man is startled. The others also have astonished expressions. "Tell me." Reverend Yu Yen looks angrily at the black-haired old man. The black-haired old man says in terror at once, "Reverend, I've read about the secret of this mansion guarding steel in an ancient letter of the Inue Palace." "Shut up. Don't tell me." Old Taoist Gonsu shouts angrily. "You shut up." Reverend Shui Ro, Reverend Yu Yen, Hualan and Hua Kan shout almost at the same time. Old Taoist Gonsu is immediately stupefied. "Go on." Reverend Yu Yen stares at the black-haired old man. At the moment, Reverend Shui Ro, Hualan and Hua Kan are all eager to know what kind of treasure this mansion guarding steel is. Seeing those loose immortals and loose devils ready to fight, the black-haired old man takes a deep breath at once, suppresses the terror in his heart and says, "I learned from that letter that mansion guarding steels are usually used by powerful immortals in the immortal world to guard their palaces when they build them. Generally, when a palace has an owner, the steel will be kept inside the owner's body. But now it looks like this immortal Anyang released the steel because..." "Don't talk nonsense. What's the benefit of getting this steel?" Hualan shouts. The black-haired old man says in terror at once, once someone refines this mansion guarding steel, it means he can completely control the entire immortal palace. The entire immortal palace will belong to that person. Whether it's those near-limitless elemental holy rocks, those immortal grasses and holy flowers, or the other treasures in the palace, they'll all belong to that person. As soon as the black-haired old man finishes speaking, an extremely rough breathing sound rises in the main hall. Chapter 204. The atmosphere in the main hall is as taut as a string in an instant. Old Taoist Gonsu's pupils contract. His entire body's aura is immediately restrained. At the moment, he is like a leopard before it attacks. An ice-cold light shoots out from his eyes and sweeps over the other loose immortals and loose devils. Reverend Yu Yen, Reverend Shui Ro, Hualan and Hua can all become vigilant in an instant. Men die for wealth just as birds die for food. To these loose immortals and loose devils who have not yet undergone the fourth tribulation, a piece of elemental holy rock is already enough to excite them. At that time, after they determined that the entire palace was made entirely of elemental holy rock, none of them tried in vain to obtain the entire palace. They only wanted to obtain the tables and stools. It is not that they did not want to obtain the entire palace, but that they did not dare to. It is like when a mortal sees a mountain of gold and a sea of silver one day. They will be terrified, because the wealth is beyond their imagination. They will feel fear in their hearts. These loose immortals and loose devils are facing a palace as big as an imperial palace on the Qianlong continent, and made entirely of elemental holy rock. They are terrified. So many elemental holy rock has subconsciously frightened them. A table and a few stools were enough to make them lose control of themselves. Moreover, there are so many of them that they cannot move them. However, because of the appearance of the mansion guarding steel, the palace, which they originally thought could not be moved, can now be completely possessed. Completely possessed. A huge amount of elemental holy rock, various kinds of precious decorations, various kinds of rockeries, various kinds of carved buildings, various kinds of immortal herbs and ganodermas can be completely possessed. Not to mention anything else, such a large amount of elemental holy rock alone can make their power advance by leaps and bounds. This alone is enough to drive them crazy. Haha, old Taoist Gonsu, you're really insidious. You knew the wonderful use of this mansion guarding steel, but you didn't say anything. Could it be you want to monopolize the entire immortal mansion? If you swallow all of these countless pieces of elemental holy rock, do you think you have such a big stomach? Huacan says with a cold laugh. In the main hall, old Taoist Gonsu and his two junior brothers are standing on one side. Hualan and Huacan are together. Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yan are standing relatively close to them. Obviously, these 7 loose immortals and loose devils are naturally divided into 3 big powers. Old Taoist Gonsu says with a cold laugh. You're unexpectedly talking about me, you. I think now you want to obtain this mansion guarding steel more than anybody else. But it's not that easy to forge a mansion guarding steel. Do you think you have a chance? Meanwhile, Reverend Shui Rou, Reverend Yu Yan, no matter what, we absolutely cannot let this mansion guarding steel fall into the hands of demons. Let's join forces to kill Hualan and his brother first. What do you say? This old Taoist Gonsu is talking to Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yan through holy sense communication. Old Taoist Gonsu, I'm a devil. Humph, you hypocritical villain. Perhaps you're even more cunning than a devil like me. Even if my brother and I can't get the mansion guarding steel, your Qingshu temple won't be able to get it either. Hualan says wildly. At the same time, Hualan says to Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou through holy sense communication. Reverend Yu Yan, Reverend Shui Rou, we also know about the affairs of the Xiaxianists on the Tenglong continent. The Qingshu temple has always been at the top and thinks that it's extraordinary, but in fact it's just a whore building a monument to its chastity. Our Xiuma school has always looked down on it. This mansion guarding steel must not be obtained by them. Once they obtain it, your Lanyang school and Xiang school will probably be suppressed even more. Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou exchange a look. Gonsu, dealing with devils is naturally what we Xiaxianists should do. But there's only one mansion guarding steel, so it's a bit troublesome to distribute it. Reverend Yu Yan says to old Taoist Gonsu through holy sense communication. Reverend Yu Yan, the distribution of this mansion guarding steel is naturally easy to discuss. After all, our distribution is a loose immortal internal affair. No matter what, we can't let that devil get involved. Old Taoist Gonsu replies using holy sense communication. He then shouts at Hualan. The master of this immortal mansion is an immortal. You still want to seize it, you're dreaming, you devil. I'm dreaming. Don't tell me it's not a dream for a little loose immortal like you to want to obtain such an immortal palace. Hualan says with a cold laugh. Hualan, that Qingshu temple is indeed at the top of the Xiaxianist schools, suppressing us by a head. We certainly know that they're very hypocritical. No matter what, Reverend Yu Yan and I naturally don't want this immortal mansion to be obtained by old Taoist Gonsu. Reverend Shui Rou says to Hualan through holy sense communication. All right, then let's join forces to kill old Taoist Gonsu and the other 2 first. In the end we'll distribute it slowly. Hualan immediately says through holy sense communication. Chaos. In the main hall, the 3 powers are attacking each other with sharp words. However, they are secretly seizing the opportunity to rope in other powers. None of these 7 loose immortals and loose devils is a fool. All of them are very cunning. How trustworthy can an agreement reached through holy sense communication like this be? The loose immortals and loose devils are angrily rebuking each other. Azure Dragon Yen Lang, his three subordinates, Yen Mo, Reverend Yen Su Ida, Qin Yu and Li Er and that black-haired old man are all watching this scene in the main hall in astonishment. They can hear what is said verbally, but they do not know what is said through holy sense communication. All of a sudden, old Taoist Gon Su stops talking. Hualan and his brother also stop talking. Old Taoist Gon Su suddenly turns his head and scolds Qin Yu, Azure Dragon Yen Lang, Yen Mo and the others, who are watching on one side. Get lost! Azure Dragon, Reverend Yen Su Ida, Qin Yu and the others are startled. At the moment, Hualan also stands on old Taoist Gon Su's side. All of you listen up. From now on, nobody is allowed to enter this main hall. Anyone who enters will be killed without exception, no matter who they are. Yen Su, you're not allowed to enter either. Old Taoist Gon Su shouts at Reverend Yen Su. Yes, Grand Uncle Master. Reverend Yen Su says respectfully. Azure Dragon and the three yellow-clad men behind him exchange a look. He then says with an indifferent smile, "All right, we also know our limits. This mansion guarding steel is precious, but it's useless if we lose our lives to obtain it. We'll go out right away." After saying so, Azure Dragon leads the three yellow-clad men out of the main hall smilingly. Everybody, remember the oaths and promises you made outside the immortal mansion at that time. Ida says smilingly while licking his lips. He then turns around and strides out of the main hall very straightforwardly. Yen Mo takes a look at the loose immortals and loose devils, then also leaves silently. Big brother Qin Yu, let's go too. Li Er says while pulling Qin Yu's hand. Qin Yu frowns. In order to enter the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, Qin Yu has indeed put in a lot of effort along the way. Whether it was to snatch the 8th Jade Sword, enter the wilderness to search for the 9th Jade Sword and enter this immortal mansion. However, now that he has seen the mansion guarding steel, he is forced to give up. Qin Yu knows the difference in power, so he can only take a deep breath and give everybody a smile. He then holds Li Er's hand in a reverse grip and smiles at Li Er. The two of them then go out of the palace in this way. The black-haired old man stares at that mansion guarding steel, his eyes blazing. But when he sees those loose immortals and loose devils, he has no choice but to give up in the end. Outside the main hall, Azure Dragon, the three yellow-clad men, the black-haired old man, Yen Mo, Ida and Reverend Yen Su are all watching the inside of the main hall from not far away. They also want to see what these loose immortals and loose devils are going to do. However, Qin Yu and Li Er have already left. They go into a small garden in the palace of the immortal mansion. Spring water is floating in the air. Every drop of water is sparkling and translucent like pearls. Qin Yu and Li Er are sitting on a bench beside the spring. Li Er, what's the matter with you? Qin Yu feels that Li Er is a bit different from before. Even though the two of them have not spoken many words of love, they have already approved of each other. When you like someone, you don't have to say, "I love you," at the beginning. If you say it too early, you will inevitably frighten the girl and it will have the opposite effect. On the contrary, when the feelings are strong enough, the two of them will know even if they don't say it. Some words of love, such as "I love you," are not for the other party to admit that they are lovers, but for the feelings to be naturally revealed when the feelings are strong enough. At the moment, Li Er is frowning deeply, as if she has something very important on her mind. Faced with Qin Yu's inquiry, Li Er holds Qin Yu's hand very tightly. She then squeezes out a faint smile and says, "No, nothing. If there's something on your mind, just say it. Don't hide it in the bottom of your heart." Qin Yu feels very strange. She was fine when they just came out of the hallucinatory magic land. How come Li Er's mood seems to have become so unstable in just a short while? Faced with Qin Yu's inquiry, Li Er immediately says, "It's nothing. I'm just wondering about one thing." Wondering about what? Qin Yu continues to ask. Li Er purses her lips and ponders for a while before saying, I'm wondering about that mansion guarding steel. What's so strange about it? Qin Yu asks back. Speaking of the mansion guarding steel, Qin Yu feels very helpless in his heart. Who doesn't want such a treasure? But Qin Yu also knows that his strength is too weak. Lier shakes her head and says, "When I first saw it, I really thought it was a mansion guarding steel. But as far as I know, the aura of the mansion guarding steel is completely connected to the whole palace. The aura of this mansion guarding steel seems to be connected to the whole palace. Can feel it." Qin Yu frowns. Lier shakes her head and firmly says, "That's just a means to confuse you. I have a special method to determine that even if you refine the mansion guarding steel, you can control part of the palace, but you absolutely can't control the whole palace." Qin Yu knows that Lier has a special ability, so he immediately asks, "Lier, what do you mean?" Lier continues, "Big brother Qin Yu, let's not talk about other things. The hidden dragon continent has jade veins, right? And why do you ask this?" Qin Yu asks back. Lier shakes her head and says, "Don't ask. Jade veins are so big. Generally, jade veins don't have jade soul essences. In other words, it is the most precious jade stone, the jade essence." Yes, of course. Qin Yu is very clear about this. A big jade vein naturally has its core, which is generally jade essence. But jade essence is very precious. Even those so-called precious gems on the market are not comparable to jade soul essences. Lier nods and says with a smile, "Big brother Qin Yu, in fact, elemental holy stone veins are the same." "You mean, elemental holy stone veins also have soul essences?" Qin Yu is surprised. Lier nods and says, "Yes, big brother Qin Yu. You see, such a big palace is made up of such a huge elemental holy ore. Such a huge elemental holy ore can only be found in 10,000 elemental holy ore veins. And such a huge elemental holy ore must be the core of the vein. If my guess is correct, when that immortal Anai Yang obtained such a huge elemental holy ore, this huge elemental holy ore should contain a piece of elemental holy essence." Qin Yu understands Lier's meaning. Such a huge elemental holy ore is very rare. 'Cause it is really too big and its quality is so good. It is very possible that this elemental holy ore contains elemental holy soul essence. Lier, so what if this elemental holy ore has a piece of elemental holy soul essence? Qin Yu still doesn't know what relationship this elemental holy soul essence has with the mansion guarding steel. Lier smiles brilliantly and says confidently, "Big brother Qin Yu, you don't know this. There are also palaces made up of elemental holy ore in the immortal world. And the core of these palaces is not mansion guarding steels, but that piece of elemental holy soul essence. Mansion guarding steels, firstly, are complicated to make. Secondly, only ordinary immortals and golden immortals use this method. In Lier's words, it is obvious that mansion guarding steels are of a relatively low level to control an entire palace." Lier continues, "Big brother Qin Yu, this palace was originally made up of a huge elemental holy ore. This piece of elemental holy soul essence is the core of this huge elemental holy ore. If you use a secret method to refine that piece of elemental holy soul essence, you can naturally control the entire palace. Moreover, the effect is much better than mansion guarding steels. I think this immortal Anayang won't abandon this piece of elemental holy soul essence, and use a low-level mansion guarding steel instead." Lier speaks frankly with assurance as if she knows everything about the immortal world like the back of her hand. Qin Yu's eyes brighten. "Lier, you mean?" "Yes, that mansion guarding steel was put there by immortal Anayang to tease those people. The core that really controls the entire palace is not the mansion guarding steel at all, but the piece of elemental holy soul essence. According to my guess, this piece of elemental holy soul essence should be somewhere in the palace." Lier's eyes glitter brilliantly. "Lier, you're really awesome. Let's go and find the piece of elemental holy soul essence. Let's let them slowly fight for that mansion guarding steel there." Qin Yu is overjoyed in his heart. He pulls Lier and is about to start looking for the piece of elemental holy soul essence. Suddenly, boom! It is as if the earth is quaking and the mountains are shaking. Even Qin Yu and Li Er can feel the terrifying sound and vibration clearly. In the main hall of the Green Jade Palace, the brutal fighting has finally begun. Chapter 205. Outside the main hall, Yenmo Ida, Reverend Yen Su, the black-haired old man and the others are all watching everything that is happening in the main hall in shock. That cruel fighting and those vicious attacks simply leave no chance for survival. They only see numerous blurs, sword rays going on a rampage in the main hall, and all kinds of restrictive spells and seals exploding non-stop. Loose immortals and loose devils are all people who have lost their physical bodies. A loose immortal's body is not like a physical body, so even if it is pierced through by a sword or knife, it will not be a serious injury. Only by destroying the opponent's Yuanying and soul can it be fatal. Unique moves, forbidden moves, insidious moves. Every move is used. Old Taoist Gon Su's face is ferocious. His robe has long been tattered and his face has even been cut by sword rays. But he does not want to waste his power to heal the wounds on his face. Despite the blood on his face, he just keeps attacking Hualan and Huacan non-stop. Ah, Reverend Yu Yen, Reverend Shui Rou. Hualan roars furiously while attacking madly at the same time. It was originally agreed that Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Rou would help them. Who could have thought that in the end they would unexpectedly attack them directly? The loose immortals have joined forces to attack the two brothers, so naturally they are at a disadvantage. However, Hualan and Huacan are after all third tribulation loose devils, so it is not easy to kill them. If Hualan risks his life, it is not impossible for him to kill one of old Taoist Gon Su, Reverend Shui Rou or Reverend Yu Yen. The fighting is fierce. They want to kill others but they do not want to die. After all, they have to stay alive to refine mansion guarding steels. A piece of gold can make beggars go crazy, but a gold mountain is enough to make countless beggars fight each other madly. At the moment, these loose immortals and loose devils who have not even reached the fourth tribulation are like this. A huge palace the size of an imperial palace is made entirely of elemental holy rock, in the eyes of these loose immortals and loose devils. To them, this palace is no less than a gold mountain for beggars. Madness and slaughter. Obtaining this palace means that their status will be improved in a straight line and their power will advance by leaps and bounds. It will also become much easier to overcome the loose immortal tribulation. This palace represents their glorious future. It is very difficult for second tribulation and third tribulation loose immortals and loose devils, the lowest among loose immortals and loose devils, to become lofty beings among loose immortals and loose devils. With this palace it will be much easier. You want to kill me. In your dreams. Hualan roars furiously. At the same time, he and his younger brother Hua can charge at old Taoist Gon Su in almost two curved lines. These two brothers were also proficient in joint attacks. Although the others were besieging them, the two brothers could still put up a fight if they worked together. Seeing this scene, old Taoist Gon Su's eyes seemed to shoot out lightning. The two junior brothers behind him, Gon Ming and Gon Shan, soar into the sky with their flying swords. A golden character Qing appears in old Taoist Gon Su's hand. He then throws a palm strike with a flip of his hand. The golden seal characters float in the air. With old Taoist Gon Su's flying sword as the leader and Gon Ming's and Gon Shan's flying swords as the support, they turn into an area of sword silhouettes. The battle is very fierce, but these loose immortals and loose devils only have some external injuries. For loose immortals, external injuries are negligible. As for the real serious injuries, only Huacan's Yuanying has been somewhat affected. Relying on the formation, old Taoist Gon Su and his two brothers are barely equivalent to two third tribulation loose immortals. Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen are both third tribulation loose immortals. Their combined offensive power was equivalent to the offensive power of four third tribulation loose immortals. Hualan and Huacan are also third tribulation loose devils. Defeating them is easy, but killing them is difficult. The meaning of defeating them is to make Hualan and Hua can think that they are no match for them and run away. But will a beggar run away when faced with a chance to obtain a golden mountain? No, because his eyes have already turned bloodshot. Hualan and Hua can are already completely bloodshot. Old Taoist Gon Su, Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou are all bloodshot. None of them is willing to give up. They all attack each other like crazy, not giving up until they kill each other. This palace is such a precious treasure that even my dragon clan would go crazy for it, let alone these mere second tribulation and third tribulation loose immortals and loose devils. But if they keep fighting like this, when will there be an end? Azure Dragon says with a shake of his head. Yenemo says with a cold laugh. Yen Lang, even though Hualan and Hua Kan are on the weaker side, how can third tribulation loose devils be killed so easily? If they want to kill each other, if they're not careful, they can be killed by self-detonation. With this mansion guarding steel on one side, which one of them wants to die? No, their battle won't go on like this. The black-haired old man, however, says. In just a while, what the black-haired old man said has become a fact. In the blink of an eye, the 5 loose immortals finally join forces. Reverend Shui Rou uses a green ribbon to bind Hualan in an instant. Seeing this scene, Hualan is so frightened that he wants to break it. But this green ribbon is really too tough. Moreover, even if he disperses his loose immortal body, Yuanying will not be able to escape. This is because that green ribbon is aimed at Yuanying. 4 flying swords and several tens precious talisman seals. When the green ribbons bind Hualan, the 4 flying swords and several tens of precious talisman seals all attack Hualan at once. All of those several tens of precious talisman seals contain extremely powerful restrictive spells. Together with the attack of the 4 flying swords, Hualan's body is covered with a very powerful restrictive spell. They are too fast. So fast that Hua Kan on one side simply has no time to help his big brother. An earth-shaking explosion is heard. At the last moment, Hualan, who knows he will die, unexpectedly self-detonates. A third tribulation loose devil self-detonates. A third tribulation loose devil is equivalent to a Deshang stage expert and is only a step away from a level 1 immortal. This explosion is too powerful. But the 5 loose immortals all use long-range attacks. With such a short distance, the self-detonation does not hurt anyone. But many holy weapons have been destroyed. An extremely rare green ribbon was blasted into pieces. Of the 4 flying swords, only 2 were lucky enough to survive. But Gon Ming's and Gon Shan's flying swords have been blown into pieces. Old Taoist Gon Su's and Reverend Yu Yan's flying swords are all precious low-grade immortal weapons left behind by their school's seniors. Big brother! Hua Kan shouts in grief. His voice seems to be heart-wrenching. Still not attacking. Old Taoist Gon Su shouts. Immediately, he and Reverend Yu Yan attack again. Reverend Shui Rou, however, has a gloomy expression on her face. That ribbon of hers is not an immortal weapon, but it is also a top-grade holy weapon. The most important thing is, this ribbon has the ability to bind Yuanying. When facing a loose immortal or loose devil, if she catches him off guard and binds him with the ribbon, it will be very easy for her to kill him. However, it was extremely difficult to refine this ribbon. Firstly, it required a lot of materials. Secondly, only her grandmaster had succeeded in refining it. Her grandmaster had entered the chaotic astral ocean a long time ago and had not returned for several thousand years. Who knew whether she had died in the chaotic astral ocean or had failed to cross the loose immortal tribulation? It is definitely no less precious than a low-grade immortal weapon, but it has been destroyed just like that. However, as soon as she thinks of the Green Jade Palace, the nearly endless amount of elemental holy rock and countless other treasures, she suppresses the anger in her heart. I swear to heaven, Qingshu Temple, Xiang School, Lanyang School, I'll definitely make you pay with your blood one day. While his voice is still echoing in the main hall, Hua Kan has already rushed out of the main hall and escaped. If Hua Kan were to fight them here, old Taoist Gon Su and the others would still be able to join forces to think of a way to kill him. But if Huacan were to give up on seizing that mansion-guarding steel and escape directly, they would have no chance at all. The 5 loose immortals, including old Taoist Gong Su and his 2 junior brothers, Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen, cannot help stopping. Boom! A series of explosions come in from outside the hall. At the same time, a miserable cry is heard. Old Taoist Gong Su. Killing this Reverend Yen Su can be considered a bit of interest. Huacan's voice resounds through the entire square. Reverend Yen Su, who was originally standing, has already been turned into flying ashes. A late Kongming stage Reverend Yen Su does not even have the power to fight back against a strike of a 3rd tribulation loose immortal that carries endless hatred. Old Taoist Gong Su's face immediately darkens. But he also knows that even though that voice is echoing in the square, given Huacan's speed, he has already run to some unknown corner. Old Taoist Gong Su and his 2 junior brothers look at Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen. Only one person can refine a mansion-guarding steel. Who will be the one to refine it? Without Hualan and Huacan, the relationship between old Taoist Gong Su and his 2 juniors and Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen has obviously started to change. None of them is willing to let the other party refine the mansion-guarding steel. Since neither side is willing to give it up, then times the Green Jade Palace is very large. Moreover, Qin Yu's holy sense is basically unable to be used here. There is basically no need to think too much. This is the palace of immortal Anai Yang. What kind of immortal is immortal Anai Yang? How can his immortal mansion and palace be casually explored by the holy sense of a Ziotionist who has not even reached the celestial immortal phase? Perhaps only those who are more powerful than immortal Anai Yang can explore this palace. Speed. Qin Yu and Li Er use their speed to explore the palace extremely fast. However, after exploring for a long time, Qin Yu and Li Er have explored several hundred rooms and courtyards. They still have not found that elemental holy essence. In the basement, in the crevices of the rockery, under the spring, Qin Yu and Li Er have searched all the places, no matter if they are hidden or not. But the palace is very large, so Qin Yu and Li Er still have many places they have not visited. At the moment, Qin Yu and Li Er are moving extremely fast side by side. Li Er. Could it be that immortal Anai Yang has put the elemental holy essence on himself? If so, we can't find it even if we look for it again. Qin Yu says to Li Er while shuttling extremely fast. Li Er says with a shake of her head, "No. Since immortal Anai Yang made that mansion-guarding steel, even though he made fun of the people who entered the palace, I believe that since immortal Anai Yang left this palace behind, he must have also left the elemental holy essence. After all, he must have left something for the fated person. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too boring for him to make such a big fuss? That's right. If he didn't leave some treasures behind and instead left a fake mansion guarding steel, that would be really boring." Qin Yu also laughs. At the moment, Qin Yu and Li Er rush into a bedroom. As soon as they open the muslin curtain of the bedroom and enter the bedroom, Qin Yu and Li Er see a black ball the size of a pearl floating in the air in the middle of the bed. Its aura is even purer than that of the mansion guarding steel, and its spiritual aura is also stronger. This could it be? Even though Qin Yu has never seen an elemental holy essence before, at the moment he also has a bit of a premonition. The elemental holy essence, that's it. Li Er's face is full of surprise and delight. If you look carefully, you can see various kinds of talisman seals and imprints on this ball. Obviously, that immortal Anai Yang refined it into the core of the palace. It's relatively difficult to refine both the mansion-guarding steel and the elemental holy essence into cores. But once it's successfully refined, both the mansion-guarding steel and the elemental holy essence will be like a space ring, which has a space inside. It's just that this space can only contain the palace. Li Er says excitedly, "As long as you refine this elemental holy essence, you'll be able to take the palace into the elemental holy essence with just a thought." Getting Li Er's confirmation, Qin Yu is overjoyed. This black ball is indeed an elemental holy essence. Moreover, it has already been refined and can easily control the entire palace of the immortal mansion. Moreover, it can also be taken into the elemental holy essence. Big brother Chinyu, hurry up and refine it. Li'er says hurriedly. Seeing Chinyu looking at her, Li'er says with a smile at once, "All right, this palace isn't very useful to me. Moreover, it has protective magic treasures. If you refine this elemental holy essence, it'll be of great benefit to you." Chinyu ponders for a while, then smiles at Li'er and nods. All right. Once the elemental holy essence is refined, one can control the entire palace and all the restrictive spells and secret skills of the entire palace. At the same time, one can also know what is happening in any part of the palace. Reverend Yu Yen, Reverend Shui Ro, please don't worry. I, Gonsu, guarantee that if I refine this mansion guarding steel, you can take whatever treasures you want in this immortal mansion. Even the several tens tables and stools made of elemental holy rock in that square will be given to you. Old Taoist Gonsu says persuasively. Reverend Shui Ro and Reverend Yu Yen, however, laugh coldly in their hearts. Tables and stools. Those several tens tables and stools represent several tens of tables and stools of elemental holy rock. They are indeed tempted, but compared to these tables and stools, are the countless treasures in this huge palace not even more tempting? Old Taoist Gonsu's so-called "you can take whatever you want" means that if old Taoist Gonsu refines the mansion guarding steel, as long as he is unwilling, how can they possibly take any treasures? After all, they have already tried the restrictive spells in this palace. Old Taoist Gonsu, I say, let's refine that mansion guarding steel. When the time comes, we'll give you all those tables and stools and you can take whatever treasures you want. What do you think? Reverend Yu Yen says to Old Taoist Gonsu in turn. Old Taoist Gonsu is startled, but in a while he becomes a bit annoyed. Humph! Seeing Old Taoist Gonsu like this, the hot-tempered Reverend Yu Yen cannot help giving a cold humph. They know that in the face of such a precious treasure, there is absolutely no chance of easing the tension. Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Ro talk through their holy senses for a while, then immediately prepare to get into action. However, when they are about to get into action, Old Taoist Gonsu suddenly feels his heart palpitate. Boom! A series of explosions rise beside Old Taoist Gonsu. He dodges at once, but as soon as he turns his head around, he discovers that his junior brother Gonshan's Yuanying has already been seized and his soul has even been destroyed. The one who has caught Gonshan Yuanying is none other than the black-haired old man. Haha, since you can't decide who will refine this mansion guarding steel, I'll help you refine it. As he talks, his voice changes from old to feminine and sweet. At the same time, his appearance changes greatly. Wearing a black gauze gown, his seductive body is partly visible. His seductive eyes sweep over everybody. Dame Yen Ji, Old Taoist Gonsu, Gon Ming, Reverend Shui Ro and Reverend Yu Yen all cry out in alarm. Dame Yen Ji is a super expert of the Inue Palace and a well-known great devil on the Tenglong continent. She likes to transform into a boy, a woman, an old man, a strong man and so on. She is called the 1,000 Transformation Demoness. But even now many people are not sure whether she is a man or a woman. It's just that when Dame Yen Ji meets other great devils, she mostly uses her current seductive woman appearance, so she is called Dame. Dame Yen Ji is a 4th tribulation loose devil, which is equivalent to a level 1 devil. The move she used to kill Gonshan just now was obviously teleportation. Now that Gonshan is dead, Old Taoist Gonsu cannot use the formation, so 2nd tribulation loose immortal Gon Ming is useless. Old Taoist Gonsu, Reverend Shui Ro and Reverend Yu Yen are only 3/3 tribulation loose immortals, even though there is still Gon Ming. 3/3 tribulation loose immortals are actually at a disadvantage against a 4th tribulation loose devil, which is also a level 1 loose devil. This is because there is a clear threshold between the 3rd tribulation and the 4th tribulation. If there were 1 or 2 more loose immortals and loose devils, Dame Yen Ji would not have been certain of victory. Too bad, Hualan is dead. Huakan has escaped and Gonshan has been killed. Looks like this time Dame Yenji is the Oriole behind the mantis stalking the cicada. However, when she finds out in the end that the mansion guarding steel is fake after a fight, what expression will she have? But at the moment, Qin Yu is concentrating on refining the elemental holy essence. Chapter 206. What, all of you don't seem very happy to see me. Dame Yenji sweeps everybody with her seductive eyes. After transforming into her true form, she speaks like a woman, totally different from the black-haired old man from a moment ago. Old Taoist Gon Su and Gon Ming gnash their teeth. Their senior brother Gon Shan has already been killed by Dame Yenji. This has not only created a great enmity between them, but also weakened the Qingshu Temple's power to seize that mansion guarding steel a lot. How could that be? It's just that elder sister Yenji is really very surprising. Who would have thought? That black-haired old man was actually elder sister Yenji's disguise. Elder sister Yenji's disguise is really similar. Reverend Shui Ro says smilingly. Dame Yenji stares at Reverend Yu Yen instead. Reverend Yu Yen is also uneasy in his heart. Just now it was he who shouted at the black-haired old man that Dame Yenji transformed into about the mansion guarding steel. The black-haired old man's cowardice and fear just now simply did not arouse anybody's suspicion. Reverend Yu Yen, if I remember correctly, just now it was you who threatened my life to ask about the mansion guarding steel, right? Dame Yenji says lightly. At the same time, a faint ice-cold light appears in the bottom of her seductive eyes. The cold light bursts forth. Killing intent appears. A black ribbon suddenly shoots at Reverend Yu Yen. Demoness! Reverend Yu Yen shouts loudly. At the same time, his body has already dodged. The flying sword, which was a low-grade spiritual artifact, directly blocked the black ribbon. The moment the black ribbon shoots out, old Taoist Gon Su, Gon Ming and Reverend Shui Ro, whose nerves have been stretched taut all along, break completely. The other four loose immortals immediately attack Dame Yenji from all sides. A fight has begun. Reverend Yu Yen, Reverend Shui Ro, Old Taoist Gon Su, 3/3 Tribulation Loose Immortals and a 2nd Tribulation Loose Immortal Gon Ming. Facing a 4th Tribulation Loose Immortal, Dame Yenji, they are in a slightly disadvantageous position. If they know some kind of joint formation, they may be able to change the situation. However, on the Tenglong continent, the Qingshu Temple, the Xiang School and the Lanyang School are all competitors. Old Taoist Gon Su and the others are also elders of their schools, so how can these several experts from different schools possibly have a joint attack formation? Therefore, my fellow Taoists, today either this demoness dies or we die. Let's risk it all. Old Taoist Gon Su shouts furiously. There is still blood on the corners of his mouth. While saying these words, Old Taoist Gon Su has already attacked Dame Yenji several tens times. Each of his attacks is ruthless and merciless. At the moment, he does not dare to show any mercy. As a loose devil, Dame Yenji's attacks are even more bizarre. Poison tail needle, black wind belt. Dame Yenji's two great weapons even make the four loose immortals suffer greatly. Everyone, let's fight this demoness to the death. Reverend Yu Yan's face is full of blood. His body is also dyed red by blood. Dame Yenji's poisoned tail needles are simply impossible to guard against. If he wasn't careful, his Yuanying would be pierced by the tiny poisoned tail needle. Dame Yenji doesn't dare to relax either. These four loose immortals also know about teleportation. Teleportation can only be used in a space with stable energy. If the energy in a certain place is too agitated, using teleportation will cause one to fall into a space crack very easily and be crushed directly. At the moment, the four loose immortals are attacking madly and recklessly. Even though they cannot injure Dame Yenji, they still cause the surrounding space to become agitated non-stop, making her unable to teleport. The black wind belt wreaks havoc and the poison tail needle sneak attacks. However, the four loose immortals also use their own magic abilities, 4 flying swords and various kinds of talisman seals as if they are free of charge. Occasionally, these loose immortals even use some formidable attacks that they have been hiding. In a bedroom in the Green Jade Palace, Qin Yu is sitting with legs crossed on the bed with his eyes closed. That black, sparkling and translucent bead, which looks like a black pearl, is floating in front of Qin Yu's chest. The golden star power inside his body is carrying the dark blue flame inside his body to refine the elemental holy essence non-stop. Don't worry, big brother Qin Yu. This is the elemental holy essence refined by Ni Yang at that time. It's very difficult for you to refine it with your power. Luckily your genuine flame is comparable to a Dashang stage expert's, so your refining speed has also increased a lot. When Qin Yu had just refined it, Li Er had already told Qin Yu to do so. Qin Yu then quietly refines it. The elemental holy essence is the essence of a load of elemental holy rock, so its energy is naturally very vigorous. When immortal Ni Yang refined the elemental holy essence into the core of this palace, he also consumed a lot of immortal elemental energy. The imprint formed by that immortal elemental energy has completely fused with this elemental holy essence. At the moment, what Qin Yu is going to do is to let his golden star power and his genuine flame refine that imprint and get rid of that immortal elemental energy. He is going to let his energy fuse with the elemental holy essence. Even though refining the elemental holy essence is rather difficult, it only relies on one's own power and his genuine flame and does not require much mental effort. At first I thought that Yen Mo, Azure Dragon and the others were already very powerful, but now experts have appeared one after another. Those loose immortals and loose devils have also appeared. It's funny that at that time I thought my power was already pretty good. Now it looks like it's still far from enough. Qin Yu sighs in his heart. The time given to him by God is too short. If I were given another 100 years, I'd have enough confidence to fight against those loose immortals and loose devils. But it's not up to me to decide when to open the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. Luckily I'm lucky enough to have Li Er's help. Thinking of Li Er, he cannot help feeling a burst of warmth in his heart. But luck can make me lucky for a while, but it can't last forever. Moreover, if I'm always under Uncle Lan's wing, how can I grow up? Now Uncle Lan is still here, but Uncle Lan is too powerful. So powerful that he's very likely an 11th or 12th tribulation loose immortal. Once he ascends, what's going to happen to Li Er? No matter if it's his own relatives or the lover he likes, Qin Yu does not want them to come to harm. I'm too weak. Qin Yu has a kind of stifling feeling in his heart. Even though Qin Yu once got Yuanying from a Dongshu stage expert, now he is already an early core stage expert, so Dongshu stage Yuanying is not very effective for him. If I can get Yuanying from a Kongming stage expert or a Yuanying from a Dujie stage expert, that'll be good. Qin Yu thinks to himself. In terms of soul power, Qin Yu's soul is very solid, so he has the capital to absorb Yuanying from a Kongming stage expert or a Dujie stage expert. But how can that level of Yuanying be so easy to get? After all, compared with loose immortals and loose devils, Qin Yu is somewhat weak. Suddenly, Qin Yu's heart palpitates for a while. He immediately concentrates his spirit completely on the elemental holy essence. Rays of golden brilliance radiate from the surface of the black ball. The golden brilliance is formed by the fusion of Qin Yu's golden star power with the imprint. The 10 fingers are linked to the heart. Qin Yu opens his eyes. Without the slightest hesitation, he cuts his finger and a drop of blood drips out. The elemental holy essence easily absorbs that drop of blood like a sponge. A layer of dazzling blood-red light flashes on the surface of the elemental holy essence. Then it directly merges into Qin Yu's body. Brother Qin Yu, congratulations on successfully refining this elemental holy essence. Li Er's face is full of joy. Her face is very red. Seeing Li Er, Qin Yu can't help smiling. Yes, I've succeeded. Er. The expression on Qin Yu's face suddenly freezes. Brother Qin Yu, what's the matter with you? Li Er hurriedly asks doubtfully. Qin Yu stares blankly for a while. After a while he wakes up. His face is full of ecstasy. Haha, Li Er, sure enough. Now I can easily discover everything in this immortal mansion. Moreover, I can completely control those restrictive spells and formations. But right at this moment, Qin Yu frowns. Brother Qin Yu. As soon as Li Er speaks, Qin Yu reaches out his hand to stop Li Er's voice. He has just refined the elemental holy essence, so he should have activated some restrictive spell. A voice unexpectedly rises in his mind. Lucky Junior, I don't know whether you're a man or a woman. I also don't know whether you're an immortal cultivator or a devil cultivator. I also don't know whether you're a loose immortal or a loose devil. In short, I don't know anything about you, but your luck is pretty good. Mansion guarding steel. This trick unexpectedly didn't fool you. Since you've refined this elemental holy essence, this immortal mansion is yours. Anyway, this immortal mansion can't be considered very precious, so it's not a big deal to give it to you. Immortal Ni Yang's tone is very unconcerned. Qin Yu can feel that this immortal Ni Yang really doesn't care about an immortal mansion very much. Good heavens! An immortal mansion that can make loose immortals and loose devils crazy is actually nothing in this immortal's mouth. What kind of VIP is this immortal actually? Qin Yu mutters in his heart. Immortal Ni Yang's voice continues to rise in Qin Yu's mind. Haha, Junior, the real treasure of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion this time isn't this Qing Yu Immortal Mansion. Let's see whether you'll have a chance to get it or not. To get that treasure, not only do you need power, you also need courage and you also need luck. You can't do without any of the three. Immortal Ni Yang laughs out loud. Qin Yu's heart, however, skips a beat. A treasure that's even more precious than the Qing Yu Immortal Mansion. Qin Yu is astonished. Just now he and Li Er talk so much. It's very obvious that elemental holy or is very precious to loose immortals and loose devils. The whole immortal mansion is made of elemental holy or, and there are even all kinds of decorations, treasures, restrictive spells and secret methods inside. Even 12th tribulation loose immortals and loose devils should be very excited about it. However, in this trip to the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, the Qing Yu Immortal Mansion he has encountered so far isn't the most precious treasure. Power, courage and luck. Qin Yu talks to himself and ponders non-stop. To become powerful, not only does he need to train hard, he also needs opportunities. This trip to the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion is an opportunity. Qin Yu simply does not know what that treasure that's even more precious than the Qing Yu Immortal Mansion is. But Qin Yu's heart is blazing. In the main hall of the Qing Yu Immortal Mansion, 4 loose immortals are besieging a 4th tribulation loose devil, Dame Yanji. These 5 people are fighting in a dark and chaotic battle. Old Taoist Gon Su and Reverend Yu Yan are the main force. Reverend Shui Ro is the sneak attack and Gon Ming is using some attacks to affect Dame Yanji. With a series of earth-shaking explosions, a severed arm flies up. Afterwards, there is even a rumbling explosion. That severed arm immediately explodes into a bloody mist, which enshrouds the entire main hall. Old Taoist Gon Su's body is thrown down. At the moment, his right arm has already been broken. Moreover, just now Dame Yanji's furious attack even injured his Yuanying. Even though they cooperated well just now, in the end both sides still suffered. Senior brother. Gon Ming's face is full of terror. Old Taoist Gon Su, however, has a ferocious look on his face. He looks at Dame Yanji, who has just been slightly injured, with a strange laugh. At the same time he says via holy sense communication, Yanji, you injured me but you won't have an easy time either, haha. You still want to injure me, you little thief Gon Su? Dame Yanji is still talking but 2 streams of energy cause her face to change color greatly. After the following moves, there is still a following move. Merciless water and fire. 2 huge streams of energy entangle each other according to the mysterious concept of Taiji. One stream is extremely hot, which is Reverend Yu Yan's attack. The other is extremely cold, which is Reverend Shui Ro's attack. The 2 of them cooperate with each other in a mysterious way. Their attack power immediately increases exponentially. In a narrow illusionary realm, there is an unexpected attack. Ah! Dame Yen Ji suddenly screams. Her face immediately turns snow-white, looking very frightening as if her white bones have been exposed through her skin. Two black wind ribbons are wantonly brandishing towards the two sides of her arms like whirlwinds. At the same time, various poisoned tail needles shoot out in all directions from Dame Yen Ji's body. At the moment, Dame Yen Ji is not holding back at all. Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen exchange a smile. The two of them have been practicing at the same time in two big schools. Both of them have failed to overcome their tribulations and are now third tribulation loose immortals. One of them is extremely hot and the other is extremely cold. However, almost no one knows the real relationship between Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Rou. When the two of them use their special moves, their attack power is much stronger than the combined attack of the two of them. A series of earth-shaking explosions are heard. "Get out of the way!" Reverend Yu Yen shouts furiously. As soon as his voice comes out, his Lu Xing-like immortal sword has already arrived in front of Reverend Shui Rou. Naturally, he is not attacking Reverend Shui Rou but because at the moment, the seriously injured Dame Yen Ji has already arrived at her side. With a heart-palpitating sound of flesh being torn apart, Reverend Shui Rou's left arm has already been torn apart. At the same time, a sharp green fine needle has been shot out from between Dame Yen Ji's fingers. "Are you all right?" Reverend Yu Yen stands beside Reverend Shui Rou and asks nervously. Just now, if he had not stopped Dame Yen Ji for a moment with that sword move of his, perhaps she would have already been killed by the furious sneak attack of Dame Yen Ji. Even though Reverend Shui Rou did not die, the seriously injured Dame Yen Ji still used a green poison tail needle to kill Gan Ming. Pooh! Dame Yen Ji is no longer seductive like a moment ago. At the moment, she looks like a white-boned devil. Her clothes are tattered, her whole body is dyed red with blood and her hair is also very messy. Only her eyes are even more cruel, gloomy, and bloodthirsty. "Junior brother." Old Taoist Gan Su's face changes color greatly. His junior brother has unexpectedly been killed by Dame Yen Ji. At the moment, Gan Ming has already fallen to the ground, unable to get up. But suddenly, his body disperses like ashes. The core of a loose immortal is the Yuanying. When the Yuanying disappears, the body of a loose immortal will also disperse. If the Yuanying still exists, the body will be able to recover no matter how serious its injuries are. Now Gan Ming's body has turned into ashes, but his Yuanying has disappeared. "Oh, where's the Yuanying?" Dame Yen Ji's gloomy face however freezes. The poisoned tail needle has pierced through the Yuanying, but she has not taken away the Yuanying. The others are all under her surveillance, so she definitely will not take away Gan Ming's Yuanying. But where has Gan Ming's Yuanying gone? Chapter 207. Silence, an oppressive silence. The main hall of the Qingyu Immortal Mansion is terrifyingly quiet. Old Taoist Gan Su's hair is disheveled. His face is dripping with blood and his robe is torn. One of Reverend Shui Rou's arms has even been torn off. She does not want to waste her energy to reform another arm. But her resentment is very clear. That look in her eyes even makes people's hearts feel cold. On one side of her, Reverend Yu Yen is even more furious because she is seriously injured. His eyes even turn crimson as if they are congested with blood. "Humph, 3 juniors, today I, Yen Ji, will definitely kill all 3 of you. This fight won't end until one of you is dead." Dame Yen Ji is no longer as coquettish as she was in the past. Her long hair flutters like silver needles. Her face is even snow-white like bones. "Shut up, you demoness!" Old Taoist Gan Su suddenly shouts violently. Up until now, Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen have not suffered too many losses, but he, Old Taoist Gan Su, has lost 2 of his junior brothers in a row. No matter how cold he is, he will still have feelings for each other after getting along for several thousand or 10,000 years. Moreover, now that his two junior brothers have died, he has become even weaker. Gonsu, you're still so arrogant. Now that I've killed your two junior brothers, the next one will be you, right? A red light appears in Dame Yenji's eyes. That bone-like claw arrives in front of old Taoist Gonsu. Teleportation. Just now the loose immortals stopped fighting, so the space became very stable. Naturally they can use the unique skill of immortals and devils. Teleportation. Old Taoist Gonsu's face changes color greatly. At this critical moment, instead of retreating, his body rushes straight into Dame Yenji's bosom. Dame Yenji's breasts are also surging. This move of old Taoist Gonsu is really shameless. With a poochie sound, his flesh is torn apart, revealing his white bones. Because old Taoist Gonsu advanced instead of retreating, Dame Yenji's claw attack does not hit his dantian. It only hits his chest. Those breastbones are even more clearly visible now. But Dame Yenji's bone-like claw quickly reaches downwards. His chest and stomach is cut open. Yuanying is not here. Dame Yenji's face changes color. There is no pain on old Taoist Gonsu's face at all, as if that piece of flesh does not belong to his body. He opens his mouth and a small Yuanying drives that low-grade immortal flying sword to shoot straight at Dame Yenji. At such a close distance, there is simply no time for her to dodge. It pierces straight into her face. Straight down. After piercing a big hole in Dame Yenji's face, old Taoist Gonsu's Yuanying has a ferocious expression. He rides his flying sword straight down from her head to attack the Yuanying in her body. Ah! An extremely sharp and resounding voice rises from Dame Yenji's body. Merciless fire and water. Reverend Yu Yan's and Reverend Shui Ro's eyes glitter. Dazzling lights shoot out from their bodies. At this moment, they no longer care about old Taoist Gonsu's life and death. The two of them use that special skill again, hurling it directly at Dame Yenji's body. In Dame Yenji's body, a furious Dame Yenji directly uses her Yuanying to control her low-grade holy weapon, the Black Wind Belt, to fight old Taoist Gonsu. You two little thieves. Dame Yenji's face changes color. She has moved unhindered on the Tenglong continent for several thousand years, so naturally she has very rich experience in this regard. Even though she is furious and is fighting old Taoist Gonsu with Yuanying at the moment, her devil sense is paying attention to Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Ro all the time. If she is not careful, the two of them will definitely die without a burial place. Even though she is a fourth tribulation loose devil, this does not mean that she dares to let two-third tribulation loose immortals attack her. Like a rainbow, old Taoist Gonsu's Yuanying comes out of Dame Yenji's body directly and flees without caring about the fight at all. When he flees, he even deliberately emanates energy to cut open Dame Yenji's upper body directly and rushes out just like that. Dame Yenji, however, uses teleportation to control her body to dodge at once. A series of earth-shaking explosions are heard. Dame Yenji's back has been smashed open so badly that her flesh has been split open. In the beginning, old Taoist Gonsu directly fused his soul with the Yuanying and drove his flying sword to pierce through Dame Yenji's body. When he came out, he cut open her stomach. Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Ro's joint attack not only consumed Dame Yenji's power but also damaged her body greatly. At the moment, Dame Yenji is like a corpse. However, she is reluctant to abandon this body. Even though loose immortals can form a loose immortal body as long as their Yuanying is not extinguished, the energy required to form a body is really too much, so much so that even she is reluctant to waste her damaged body. Ah! A sharp and resounding voice shoots out from Dame Yenji's throat. That roar contains extreme fury and madness. Disregarding everything. No good, the devil's hair has gone wild. Be careful, Shui Ro. Reverend Yu Yan's face changes color, becoming very unsightly. Reverend Shui Ro on one side also has a solemn expression. Yu Yan, this Dame Yenji is always ever-changing. Her power is also unfathomable. At least not many people on the Tenglong continent know her real power. Don't hold back at once. At the moment, neither Reverend Yu Yen nor Reverend Shui Ro attack. Berserk energy wreaks havoc, then immediately gathers towards the center like a whirlpool. That center is precisely where Dame Yanji is standing. In a short while, that shockingly enormous energy completely repairs Dame Yanji's body. Dame Yanji regains her enchanting appearance in a short while. Only at the moment, the bottom of her eyes is ice cold. Haha, Yanji, more than half of your body has been destroyed. You consumed your power to restore it, but just now you were already seriously injured and consumed so much energy to restore it. How much power do you still have? Just accept your death obediently. At the moment, old Taoist Gon-Su has also formed a body. How much power do I have? You'll know after giving it a try. Could it be you don't know that there's something called pills in this world? At the moment, Dame Yanji is incomparably enchanting. There is even a tinge of redness on her face. Pills. You consumed so much energy and even suffered the joint attack of Reverend Yu Yen and Shui Lingling. You were seriously injured like that. How can pills be enough to cure you? Not to mention holy pills that don't have such great effects. Yanji, you're just bluffing. Old Taoist Gon-Su says mockingly. She has an Adam's apple. Reverend Shui Ro suddenly says. Reverend Yu Yen and old Taoist Gon-Su immediately look at Dame Yanji's throat. Sure enough, there is a protruding Adam's apple. Their hearts are shaken. Do women have Adam's apples? If they were loose devils, it would not be impossible for them to do this to condense their bodies. But would a normal female loose devil let herself have an Adam's apple? Are you a man or a woman? Reverend Yu Yen feels a bit numb in his heart. Dame Yanji casts a coquettish glance at him. If you say I'm a man, I'm a man. If you say I'm a woman, I'm a woman. When she says the first sentence, her voice becomes as coarse as a man's, but when she says the last sentence, her voice becomes tender and soft. Because the ever-changing she-devil always changes into various appearances, nobody knows her true appearance. Even though this seductive woman's appearance is most often used, is it necessarily real? Don't waste time with her. She's seizing the opportunity to recover her power. Old Taoist Gon-Su suddenly shouts loudly. At the same time, old Taoist Gon-Su charges at Dame Yanji like a blue rainbow. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Coldness bursts forth from Dame Yanji's eyes. Her whole body also turns into a black rainbow. This loose devil and loose immortal are really too fast. Outsiders can only see two blurs of light flickering and fighting each other continuously in the main hall. Reverend Shui Ro and Reverend Yu Yen, however, are standing together, paying attention to this fight all the time and launching surprise attacks from time to time. Ah! A furious, unwilling roar is heard. Sometimes it's a man's voice, sometimes it's a woman's voice. Dame Yanji is indeed very wronged. In the beginning, she was seriously injured by the joint attack of the two loose immortals formation. Afterwards, she had a fight with old Taoist Gon-Su and her body was greatly damaged. Recovering her body consumed a great deal of energy. Even though she has holy pills, how much energy can they replenish? Moreover, when she was fighting old Taoist Gon-Su with Yuanying, she was still sneak attacked by Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Ro in the end. After several consecutive attacks, Dame Yanji's power is not even 50% of what it was at the beginning. Luckily, old Taoist Gon-Su's power has also been greatly damaged. But, even though Dame Yanji is suppressing him, Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Ro are still sneak attacking her from one side every now and then. When Dame Yanji is about to kill, she is sneak attacked by Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Ro, two loose immortals. She is aggrieved and furious. In a certain bedchamber of the Qingyu immortal mansion, Qin Yu and Li Er are sitting on the edge of the bed. Not far from them, there is an image on a clean mirror. It is a scene of Dame Yanji and the others fighting in the main hall. Qin Yu has refined the elemental holy essence, so the entire immortal mansion is under his control. Big brother Qin Yu, I can't be sure whether this Dame Yanji is a man or a woman. Li Er says smilingly to Qin Yu. Qin Yu looks carefully, then shakes his head and says with a forced smile, "Who knows whether this Dame Yen Ji is a man or a woman? But since she's called the ever-changing she-devil, she should be a woman. If she's not a woman, why isn't she called the ever-changing she-devil man?" Ever-changing she-devil man, pft. Li Er cannot help bursting out laughing. Seeing Li Er's laughing appearance, Qin Yu casts his eyes on that clean mirror again. Only his eyes have become a bit colder. The fighting is indeed very fierce. Looks like Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou should have some secrets. No wonder they came to the outside of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion almost at the same time. This Dame Yen Ji made a miscalculation. But the difference between a third and fourth tribulation loose immortal is different from the difference between a fourth and fifth tribulation loose immortal. There's an essential difference between a third and fourth tribulation loose immortal. Whether teleportation or other abilities, the difference is much greater. Watching the fight, Qin Yu keeps remembering the attacking moves and abilities of the various experts in his mind. However, Qin Yu still thinks that Dame Yen Ji is very likely to win. 3 poisoned tail needles pierce through Old Taoist Gon Su's body. The last palm strike hits Old Taoist Gon Su's chest. Old Taoist Gon Su's Yuanying has just arrived at this place. He is only a third tribulation loose immortal, so his holy sense is inferior to that of fourth tribulation loose devil Dame Yen Ji. Dame Yen Ji's 3 needles are for this last palm strike. Even Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou cannot save him in time. Palm strike. Old Taoist Gon Su's body is sent flying powerlessly. His blood splatters on the steps of the main hall, then he falls heavily on the ground. Only his body is curled up. His right hand trembles as he takes out a jade bottle and pours holy pills into his mouth. But his right hand is very weak. More than half of the several tens holy pills in the bottle have unexpectedly been scattered. He is not dead, but he is not much different from being dead. Yuanying is so badly injured, but your soul isn't damaged much. You're really lucky. Dame Yen Ji shoots out another poisoned tail needle. In the past, Old Taoist Gon Su did not care about a small poisoned tail needle at all, but now he simply has no power to resist. In the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, I only need the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. Old Taoist Gon Su groans in his heart. At the moment, the dispirited Yuanying urgently needs to recover, but the devil elemental energy contained in that heavenly devil is really too difficult to deal with. The poisoned tail needle pierces through the air and comes at him. Old Taoist Gon Su watches it coming at him with wide open eyes, but he is powerless to resist. Blank. A flying sword blocks the poisoned tail needle. Don't even think about killing people, Demoness. Reverend Yu Yan shouts. Reverend Shui Rou on one side also looks coldly at Dame Yen Ji. Dame Yen Ji looks at the two of them. Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou have been watching the show and occasionally launching sneak attacks. The two of them are not seriously injured. Even though Reverend Shui Rou has lost an arm, she did not waste her energy to reform it, so she has a lot of energy. However, Dame Yen Ji, on the other hand, has been seriously injured several times. After reforming her body, she has been fighting Old Taoist Gon Su until now, so her condition is completely opposite. Haha, I didn't expect the two of you to be so familiar with each other and even have a joint attack formation. I miscalculated. Dame Yen Ji says with a sigh. Reverend Yu Yan gives Reverend Shui Rou a gentle look, then looks at Dame Yen Ji and says with an indifferent smile, "Very few people on the entire Tanglong continent know about the relationship between Shui Rou and me. How could you possibly know? If you die, you can't blame yourself for being stupid. You can only blame heaven for wanting you dead." When the two of them join forces and are good at joint attack formations, their offensive power is definitely not lower than the offensive power of 3/3 tribulation loose immortals. However, at the moment Dame Yen Ji's offensive power is already not bad. Alas, does heaven really want me dead? Dame Yen Ji says with a sigh. However, Dame Yen Ji's entire body suddenly seems to go crazy. Her long hair, which reaches her buttocks, suddenly straightens up like various straight strings. But in just a moment, her long hair grows longer. Blood-red flames start to burn on Dame Yenji's body. At the same time, they envelop her whole body. Seeing this scene, Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou cannot help popping their eyes out of their heads. I didn't expect it to take so long to deal with the three of you. But now you must die. Dame Yenji, who is enveloped by the blood-red flames, says to Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou with an indifferent smile as if she is looking down on them. Devil's bloody clouds. Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou's faces change color greatly. This devil's bloody clouds technique can only be used by those who have reached the devil realm. Moreover, this technique is very secret. Not all experts of the fourth tribulation loose devil level or higher know about it. Devil's bloody clouds burn half of the body's flesh and half of the body's yuanying energy. The main hall is too small, so there is no time for Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Rou to escape. One after another, the blood-red clouds attack them completely. Ah, don't touch them. As soon as the fingers of Reverend Yu Yan's right hand touch those blood-red clouds, they begin to rot from the fingers of his right hand. The rot continuously spread to his arm and even his whole body. Reverend Yu Yan's arm is directly cut off, but he also knows that the situation is bad. In the blink of an eye, the two loose immortals are completely enveloped by the blood-red clouds. They can neither go up to heaven nor down to earth. Haha, I'll kill old Taoist Gonsu first and let you have a taste of the bloody clouds corroding your yuanying. After eating the holy pill, Dame Yenji turns around and walks towards old Taoist Gonsu while laughing out loud. At the moment, her face is pale and she is even slightly trembling as she walks. Yuanying has lost half of its energy. It should be known that there is a bottom line of energy required for yuanying to exist. Losing half of its energy has almost reached this bottom line. After the three of you die, I'll refine the mansion guarding steel. This whole immortal mansion, haha. Countless elemental holy rock and countless treasures. This whole immortal mansion will be mine, ha. Dame Yenji is extremely pleased with herself. She seems to see the future of her controlling the whole immortal mansion. Chapter 208. At the moment, everything is under control. Of the 3 third tribulation loose immortals, 2 are surrounded by the devil's bloody cloud, and the last one, old Taoist Gonsu, has even suffered very serious injuries. Killing him is simply as easy as turning over a hand. Chi chi. The sound of a fiery stick being inserted into water rises. Both Reverend Yu Yan's and Reverend Shui Rou's bodies radiate powerful energy, consuming the devil's bloody cloud non-stop. But while the devil's bloody cloud is consumed slowly, their power is consumed much faster. You want to break the devil's bloody cloud with your third tribulation loose immortal's power? You're simply dreaming. Dame Yenji says indifferently, but a poisoned tail needle appears between her fingers. The tip of the needle is pointed at old Taoist Gonsu. Gonsu, your 2 junior brothers are waiting for you. Dame Yenji says smilingly. With a slight shake of her hand, the poisoned tail needle shoots at him like a sharp arrow. The moment the poisoned tail needle is shot at him, old Taoist Gonsu, who has been motionless at first, rushes out of the main hall extremely fast like lightning. Old Taoist Gonsu has been accumulating power ever since he fell to the ground and took the pills. Only when Dame Yenji attacked him in the end did he completely unleash the energy in his body and seize the last chance to escape. Ah! A poisoned tail needle pierces through the space between old Taoist Gonsu's eyebrows. The demonic elemental energy it contains even shakes inside his body. The bit of energy he has accumulated in a short period of time immediately vanishes into nothingness. His whole body falls straight down from the sky. You shot 2 needles. Old Taoist Gonsu sees Dame Yenji's outstretched left hand. It should be known that just now she shot the first poisoned tail needle with her right hand. Smart. Too bad, it's too late. Dame Yenji slowly walks up to old Taoist Gonsu's side. As a 4th tribulation celestial devil, She can enter the chaotic astral ocean, but she does not. That is because she does not like being under others. She would rather be a great devil on the Tenglong continent than go to the chaotic astral ocean to obtain heavenly treasures. She would rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. But now the time for her to soar to the top is about to arrive. The smile on Dame Yenji's face becomes even brighter. And at this moment, groans and screams came from behind. After resisting for a long time, Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Ro were finally unable to resist the heavenly devil's blood cloud. The heavenly devil's blood cloud approached their bodies. Even though they had the energy within their bodies to resist, their bodies still began to slowly rot. Pain, heart-wrenching pain. All of you must die. Dame Yenji seems to enjoy hearing those miserable cries very much. She then stretches out that jade-like hand of hers. In an instant, that jade-like hand shoots at old Taoist Gonsu like lightning. Outside the main hall, watching this scene, Yenemo Ida and the others sighed inwardly. However, they can also see that Dame Yenji has been seriously injured. But she is a fourth tribulation loose devil, which is equivalent to a level 1 celestial devil. Even a celestial devil's bloody cloud can kill them. After all, the gap between them is too great. Bang! The air exploded as 3 yellow figures shot over with extreme speed. Their speed was so fast that even the air in the hall exploded. What? Dame Yenji turned her head to take a look. Her face changed greatly. While shooting over, the 3 yellow figures turned into 3 over 100 m long azure dragons in an instant. The 3 azure dragons let out deafening roars. At that moment, ripples seemed to appear in the air. Ah! Dame Yenji clenched her silvery teeth and attacked the oncoming azure dragons with her palms, which looked like white bones. However, the 3 azure dragons suddenly coiled around each other. The 3 azure dragons opened their mouths at the same time and shot out 3 azure dragon-shaped chi. At the same time, 3 golden balls also shot out from their bodies. The 3 golden balls coiled around each other and rotated around each other. Those 3 dragon-shaped energy streams revolved around the 3 golden balls for a while, then unexpectedly converged into a small azure dragon which looked like a real dragon. That small azure dragon then charged at Dame Yenji in this way. Although it takes time to describe, it actually happened in the blink of an eye. Dame Yenji's face changed color. She dodged at once, but that small azure dragon seemed to have its own intelligence. It made a curve and crashed into Dame Yenji. The sound of an explosion. That rumbling sound is still reverberating in the main hall. Dame Yenji's whole body vomits blood and is sent flying. While in the air, she makes a somersault in the air, then lands directly on the other side of the main hall. The devil's bloody cloud surrounding Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Ro also flies away from them and gathers directly inside Dame Yenji's body. After absorbing the energy contained in the devil's bloody cloud, Dame Yenji's injuries stabilized. Good. Dame Yenji looks at the 3 yellow-clad men in front of her and says while gasping for breath, I didn't expect that the Dragon Clan's concealment was even better than mine. I thought I was good enough at concealing myself. Who would have thought that the Dragon Clan's concealment was even better? Even I didn't discover anything. At this moment, Azure Dragon Yen Lang also calmly enters the main hall and says smilingly, Dame Yenji, it would be strange if you could see through my 3 uncles. Dame Yenji's eyes are like torches. She says with a soft laugh, if my guess is correct, those 3 golden balls should be the Dragon Clan's extremely famous concealment treasure, illusion dragon balls. At the moment, unexpectedly she has not gone mad. Yenji, you've also suffered a setback, haven't you? Haha. Reverend Yu Yan says with wild laughter. Luckily for them, Dame Yenji collected the devil's bloody cloud in the end, so that Reverend Yu Yan and Reverend Shui Ro could keep their lives. But even so, their bodies were destroyed. At the moment, they have to rely on Yuanying to reform their bodies again. Do you believe that I can still kill you like this? Dame Yenji says coldly. The leader of the 3 yellow-clad men takes a step forwards and says, Don't waste time, everybody. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Yen Lonshan. These two are my brothers. I'll tell you clearly that this time this immortal mansion belongs to my dragon clan. Yen Lang, you personalize the mansion guarding steel. Yen Lonshan orders. Azure Dragon Yen Lang immediately walks towards the mansion guarding steel. Illusion Dragon Balls can not only conceal auras but also imitate the auras and energies of other experts or weaklings. They're indeed concealment treasures. The 3 Illusion Dragon Balls have concealed 3 late Duja stage divine beasts. The Dragon Clan has really gone all out. At the moment, old Taoist Gon Su slowly stands up. Dame Yen Ji, however, says, "Going all out? Gon Su, could it be you don't know how powerful the Dragon Clan is? They don't care about ordinary immortal mansions. If they did, they wouldn't have sent 3 late Duja stage Azure Dragons here. Instead, they would have sent 6th Tribulation loose demons or even more formidable ones. The Dragon Clan is extremely powerful. Even on the Tenglong continent, it is an extremely terrifying clan. Among underwater demonic beasts, the Dragon Clan is undoubtedly the highest. Any one of the clans in the Dragon Clan would be an extremely powerful force. Clan leader and elders have indeed guessed wrong this time. If they knew that this 9 Swords Immortal Mansion had an immortal mansion made entirely of such high-quality elemental holy ore, perhaps they would have sent elder-level experts instead of us 3, who are about to reach the Dashang stage. Yen Lonshan says smilingly. The 3 late Duja stage Azure Dragons are even a bit more powerful than ordinary Dashang stage Xiaxianists. Even if the 3 Azure Dragons do not cooperate with each other, they can definitely match 3 Third Tribulation loose immortals. The most important thing is, these 3 Azure Dragons are not only late Duja stage but also brothers of the same clan. Nobody will believe that they don't know a joint attack formation. Just now the strike they used to seriously injure Dame Yen Ji was obviously some kind of joint attack formation. In particular, they also have Illusion Dragon Balls. Illusion Dragon Balls can not only be used to disguise identities, but they are also offensive weapons. At least using them to deal with a seriously injured 4th Tribulation loose devil is a piece of cake. At the moment, however, Dame Yen Ji is pondering extremely fast in her mind. If these 3 late Duja stage Azure Dragons, who also have 3 Illusion Dragon Balls, want to deal with her, she really does not have much power to resist. If she were not injured and the other loose immortals were all right, they would definitely be able to defeat the 3 Azure Dragons easily by joining forces. Unfortunately, everybody is seriously injured. Want to kill me? There is a hint of coldness on Dame Yen Ji's face. Even if they want to kill her, she will take 2 of them with her when she dies. Yen Ji, don't threaten us with self-detonation. Yen Lonshan says smilingly. You're a 4th Tribulation celestial devil. If you use the Devil Bloody Cloud at the risk of self-detonation, you can indeed seriously injure us 3 brothers. But with Illusion Dragon Balls in hand, you definitely won't be able to kill us. Dame Yen Ji's pupils shrink. This Dragon Clan man in front of her seems to have seen through her. Old Taoist Gon Su, Dame Yen Ji, Reverend Yu Yen, Reverend Shui Ro, don't worry. Our Dragon Clan won't kill you. After Yen Lang has bound the mansion guarding steel, we'll send you away right away. Yen Lonshan says calmly. His meaning is very obvious. After Yen Lang has bound the mansion guarding steel, he will naturally be able to control the entire immortal mansion and will be able to send everybody away. Humph, after you've bound the mansion guarding steel, what if you use the restrictive spells of this immortal mansion to kill us? Old Taoist Gon Su shouts. Dame Yen Ji and the others also look at Yen Lonshan. Now they still have the power to put up a fight, but once the restrictive spells of the immortal mansion are controlled, perhaps they will not even have the power to fight back. Haha. Yen Lonshan laughs out loud boldly. Our Dragon Clan will deceive you. Have you ever heard of a Dragon Clan deceiving you? Dame Yen Ji and the others feel relaxed in their hearts. The Dragon Clan is a divine beast clan. Divine beasts are proud, and the Dragon Clan, which can be considered the most powerful among the divine beast clans, is naturally even prouder. Sometimes belief is even more important than life in their hearts. It is indeed very difficult to make a dragon go against what he has said. If you let them go, aren't you afraid you'll let the tiger return to the mountain? At this moment, Ida and Yenemo come in. Let the tiger return to the mountain. Haha. Yen Lonshan, Yen Lonshu and Yen Lonlei all burst out laughing. Yenemo however says, Ida, the dragon clan's power is simply beyond your imagination. Even if the Inue Palace, the Qingshu Temple, the Lanyang School and the Xiang School join forces, perhaps they won't be a match for a single clan of the Dragon Clan, let alone the entire Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan will be afraid of humans. That will be a great joke. Dame Yen Ji, Old Taoist Gon Su and the others cannot help feeling somewhat embarrassed. Even though they have lost face, they have no choice but to admit that the Dragon Clan is indeed extraordinarily powerful. Even the combined power of several big schools is not enough to fill the gaps between the Dragon Clan's teeth. Let the tiger return to the mountain. How can they dare to call themselves tigers in front of the Dragon Clan? I estimate that only if all the Xiaoxianist sects and all the loose immortal seniors of their sects who entered the chaotic astral ocean are added together, can they be compared to my Dragon Clan? Yen Lonshan says indifferently. In a certain bedroom of the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, Qin Yu and Li Er are watching the scene happening in the main hall through a mirror. The Dragon Clan is really so formidable. After learning what Yen Lonshan said, Qin Yu is startled in his heart. Li Er says with a nod, the Dragon Clan is indeed formidable. Moreover, it has the advantage of being extremely numerous. Other divine beasts are mostly very few in number. Even if there are many of them, they can't possibly be as numerous as the Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan alone is indeed more powerful than the total number of Xiaoxianists on the Tenglong continent, unless all the loose immortals in the chaotic astral ocean return. Big brother Qinyu, as far as I know, the Dragon Clan is very powerful. In short, very powerful. Li Er seems to have thought of something and says with a sigh, there are only a few members of the Dragon Clan in the north of the chaotic astral ocean, but there are a large number of dragons in the ocean to the south and even in the interior of the chaotic astral ocean. It is impossible for a huge clan of dragons, all of whom are divine beasts, not to be powerful as a group. In the main hall, Yen Lang, what's going on? Why haven't you succeeded in refining it yet? Yen Lonshan asks Azure Dragon Yen Lang frowningly. Azure Dragon Yen Lang says helplessly, it's a bit difficult to refine this mansion guarding steel. Let's wait a little longer. After saying so, Azure Dragon Yen Lang continues to refine that mansion guarding steel with all his might. However, a moment after he finishes saying, what's going on? What's going on? Azure Dragon Yen Lang cries out in alarm. Yen Lonshan, the three Yen brothers, Dame Yen Ji, Old Taoist Qing Su and the others all see a shocking scene. That mansion guarding steel, which is standing on the ground formed by elemental holy ore, is unexpectedly sinking slowly at the moment. It looks like the ground formed by elemental holy ore is a water surface. Sinks down just like that. Everybody is dumbfounded. Uncles, I haven't succeeded in refining it yet. There's only a small part left. At the moment, Azure Dragon Yen Lang is so anxious that he is about to go crazy. His Yen family has spent so much effort and even discovered such a precious immortal mansion, but in the end he has not succeeded in refining it. It's like he is dozing off when a large pile of gold ingots is placed in front of him. When he wakes up and wants to grab the gold ingots, they are gone. The three Yen brothers basically do not know what to say at the moment. Should they cry or laugh? Anyway, they feel very sullen. They simply want to go crazy and kill people. However, at the moment, Qinyu, who is looking at everything in the mirror, shows a faint teasing smile. Chapter 209. Big Brother Qinyu, it was you who made that mansion guarding steel sink into the ground, wasn't it? There is also a faint smile on Li Er's face. She is also amused in her heart. Her big brother Qin Yu is really too hateful. He unexpectedly made the mansion guarding steel sink into the ground only when the others were about to succeed. Qin Yu looks at those 3 Dragon Clan experts and the other people's dumbstruck expressions in that clean mirror. He cannot help smiling. Now this Qingyu immortal mansion is under my control. If I want to kill them, it won't be hard. Qin Yu can clearly sense the restrictive spells everywhere in the Qingyu immortal mansion. Merely by sensing the majestic energy of those restrictive spells, Qin Yu does not doubt their power at all. However, at this moment, a clear voice unexpectedly rises in Qin Yu's mind. Junior, you're not bad. You didn't even use restrictive spells to kill people. You're not that insidious. That being the case, I'll leave the defensive restrictive spells and some relatively weak offensive restrictive spells to you. But I'll withdraw the most powerful offensive restrictive spell. It is Immortal Ni Yang's message. Qin Yu's heart trembles. This Immortal Ni Yang's way of doing things is really hard to judge. Qin Yu can be sure that this Immortal Ni Yang must have left some restrictive spells to activate them. If he uses them to attack the people in the main hall, perhaps these restrictive spells will disappear completely. If an immortal mansion loses its powerful defensive restrictive spells, perhaps once he takes it out to use, it will definitely attract a large number of experts to fight over it. Luckily, I didn't do anything. Qin Yu secretly lets out a sigh of relief. How powerful is that most powerful offensive restrictive spell? Qin Yu suddenly thinks in his mind. Unfortunately, this most powerful offensive restrictive spell is probably too powerful. That Immortal Ni Yang has already withdrawn it automatically. In the main hall of the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, Reverend Shui Rou, Reverend Yu Yan, Old Taoist Gong Su and Dame Yan Ji are all looking at the original position of that mansion guarding steel, which has sunk into the ground. The 4 of them have fought so hard that even Hualan, Gong Ming and Gong Shan have been killed, but in the end they still end up like this. Impossible, how is this possible? Yan Lanshan and the other 2 brothers' faces were filled with anger and unwillingness. Hiding his strength until the very end, he finally seized the opportunity. However, just as he was about to refine the entire immortal mansion, at the very last moment, the mansion guarding steel actually sank into the ground for no reason and could no longer be seen. Dragon Clan, in the end, all your efforts will be in vain. Look, the elemental holy aura in this immortal mansion is so abundant. I'm afraid even some holy places in the chaotic astral ocean can't compare with it. Such a treasure land can only be obtained by the destined person. It's just that God doesn't want you to obtain it. Dame Yan Ji says sarcastically. Azure Dragon Yan Lang's heart is also filled with unwillingness. But what can he do? Yan Lanshan gives Dame Yan Ji a cold look, then looks at this main hall full of elemental holy ore. The entire immortal mansion is made entirely of elemental holy ore. There are also various other treasures such as immortal grasses and ganodermas. Originally he was going to get them, but in the end, Yan Lanshan can only look up at the sky and let out a long sigh. None of the people in the main hall know that it is Qin Yu, who has already taken control of the entire immortal mansion, who has caused this scene. When they were fighting, Qin Yu had already started to refine elemental holy essence. From the very beginning it was decided that everything they did was useless. Awesome, awesome, these loose immortals and loose devils are so powerful that I simply can't compete with them. At first I thought I had no hope at all. Who could have thought that the situation would take a turn for the better? In the end, this immortal mansion would be obtained by me. Qin Yu feels that the affairs of the world are impermanent. Originally he had already given up on fighting for the treasure. Who could have thought that in the end he would obtain it? However, right at this moment, Qin Yu feels the space vibrate for a while. Afterwards, he discovers that the floor under his feet is unexpectedly not made of elemental holy ore. The surroundings are also not carved beams, painted rafters and sparkling walls, but boundless clouds and mist. What's the matter? Where's Li Air? Qin Yu is shocked inside. He observes carefully, but there is no one in the surroundings at all. There is only one path under Qin Yu's feet. This path leads to both the left and the right. This path is very long and winding with no end in sight. However, there is boundless white mist in front and behind Qin Yu. His eyes cannot see through it, and his holy sense cannot see through it either. The experts of the Dragon Clan, such as Yan Lanshan and the others, who were originally in the main hall, suddenly discover that the space has changed and everyone has disappeared from the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. When they wake up, they discover that they are standing on a path. This path leads to both the left and the right. It is wide enough to accommodate 2 or 3 people walking side by side. However, there are strange clouds and mist in front and behind of them. They simply cannot see through it. Shui Ro, where are you? Reverend Yu Yen discovers that he is unexpectedly on a path for no reason. Reverend Shui Ro, who was originally beside him, has disappeared. At first glance, he simply cannot see a second person. At the moment, Reverend Yu Yan's face is full of anxiety. His holy sense is simply unable to extend, so he can only shout loudly. Dame Yen Ji, Old Taoist Gonsu, Yen Mo, Azure Dragon Yen Lang, Qin Yu Li Er, the 3 great experts of the Dragon Clan, Reverend Shui Ro, Reverend Yu Yen and that Hua Kan, who escaped early on, also appear on their own path. Hua Lan was killed and Hua Kan escaped. But he also had no way to leave the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. In the end, when the restrictive spells left behind by Immortal Ni Yang were automatically activated, everyone, including Hua Lan, was drawn into a new place. Path. There is no other choice but to go left or right. Moreover, they are all alone. Seeing this scene, Yen Mo, however, treats it calmly. Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Ro, however, worry about each other endlessly in their hearts. Old Taoist Gonsu, however, looks around carefully. He thinks about some ancient secret books of his school and starts to think about where this place is. It is Qin Yu's path. Li Er has disappeared. Everybody has disappeared. That Immortal Ni Yang must have used some kind of secret restrictive spells that I don't know about. Li Er has a protective magic treasure, so she should be safer than me. Qin Yu is very worried in his heart, but he can only comfort himself like this. He looks around carefully. Right, the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Qin Yu is secretly startled. That elemental holy essence has been refined by him, so theoretically, the Qingyu Immortal Mansion should also be his. But in the end, he did not have time to absorb it into the elemental holy essence. With a thought, Qin Yu's holy sense sinks directly into the elemental holy essence. A small and exquisite immortal mansion is inside the elemental holy essence. When the restrictive spells were activated and Qin Yu arrived at the new place, that Qingyu Immortal Mansion automatically entered the elemental holy essence. Haha! Congratulations, everybody. That mansion guarding steel was casually made by me. To be honest, it's a fake. Even if you can refine it, you won't succeed. Oh my, don't tell me that many of you have died fighting for the mansion guarding steel. Everyone, including Qin Yu, Dame Yen Ji, Old Taoist Gonsu, Yen Mo, Yen Lanshan, Ide and Hua Kan. Here's the voice echoing through heaven and earth. It's Immortal Ni Yang. At the moment, Qin Yu does not know whether he should curse angrily or do something else. This Immortal Ni Yang is simply playing with them in the palm of his hand. Hearing this voice, Dame Yen Ji's entire body is shaken. For the moment, her heart is filled with mixed feelings. She does not know what to say. Immortal Ni Yang, what a good Immortal Yang. It turns out the mansion guarding steel that made us kill each other for is a fake. It's fake. Yen Lanshan, Yen Lanlei, Yen Lanshu and Yen Lang all feel very vexed in their hearts, but they all have a feeling that they have been made a fool of. They thought they had succeeded in their scheme, but they were still made a fool of by this Immortal Ni Yang. Hua Kan's body, however, gets a shock. Big brother, you died so unjustly. Old Taoist Gonsu even takes a deep breath, trying to suppress himself. He is already about to go mad. At the moment, he is so seriously injured that he cannot even fly. Moreover, his 2 junior brothers have also been killed in the fight for the mansion guarding steel. You win, Immortal Ni Yang. Old Taoist Gon Su says in a low voice. After this immortal Anai Yang has said something, everybody has very complicated feelings in their hearts. Immortal Anai Yang's voice continues to rise in heaven and earth. Haha! Aren't you very happy? Are you gnashing your teeth in anger? Are you feeling very wronged? Anai Yang like being treated like this by others the most. I've left behind the real core of that Qingyu immortal mansion. Whether you can get it or not will depend on your own luck. Some of these words were left behind by immortal Anai Yang long ago. However, immortal Anai Yang has been gone for who knows how many years. Is a small immortal mansion worthy of immortal Anai Yang staying here to guard? Given immortal Anai Yang's power, what does he not know with a sweep of his immortal sense? I've left behind two sources of restrictive spells in the Qingyu immortal mansion. One is the mansion guarding steel and the other is the elemental holy essence. That elemental holy essence is the real core of the entire immortal mansion. If someone wants to refine the mansion guarding steel in the end, it will automatically sink into the ground and you'll be transported here. Only now do Dame Yanji, the experts of the Dragon Clan and the loose immortals know that the real core is the elemental holy essence. If someone has refined the elemental holy essence, once he uses the restrictive spells of the Qingyu immortal mansion to kill you, don't worry, you won't die because before the offensive restrictive spells are activated, my restrictive spells will activate and transport you here automatically. If he controls the mansion guarding steel to sink into the ground, you'll still be transported here. Only now do everybody understand why this is the case. However, even Dame Yanji and the others do not know whether someone has refined the elemental holy essence or not. But they know that in the end, it was because the mansion guarding steel sank into the ground that they were transported here. There are two possibilities. One is that when Azure Dragon Yen Lang refined the steel to the end, it sank into the ground automatically and the restrictive spells were activated to transport them here. The other is that the person who was lucky enough to refine the elemental holy essence controlled the mansion guarding steel to sink into the ground when Azure Dragon Yen Lang refined it to the end, which led to this scene. Nobody can be sure which is the truth. I see. If I hadn't controlled the mansion guarding steel to sink into the ground at that time, perhaps it would have sunk into the ground by itself. Only now does Qingyu understand the restrictive spells set up by immortal Anai Yang. But luckily, at least other people cannot judge whether someone has refined the elemental holy essence or not. Dame Yanji and the others all comfort themselves. Definitely not. Nobody knows what that elemental holy essence is. Even Hua Kan, Qingyu and the others outside the palace don't know what it is. How can they have refined it? Everybody, I'll congratulate you first. You've passed the first trial. From now on, you'll have a chance to obtain a real immortal treasure. That immortal treasure is more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu immortal mansion. Immortal Emperor Anai Yang's voice reverberates throughout heaven and earth. Everybody's body shakes. More precious than the Qingyu immortal mansion. Or more than 10 times more precious. The elders have all guessed wrong. This time the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion opened by the 9 Jade Swords is probably the most extraordinary immortal mansion in history. There's unexpectedly a treasure more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu immortal mansion. What kind of treasure is it? Yen Lanshan thinks to himself. Everybody feels their heart beat faster. Haha, aren't you very excited? As for what this treasure is, don't worry. Before that, I'll solemnly introduce myself. Immortal Anai Yang deliberately pauses for a while. The others were originally expecting this immortal Anai Yang to talk about some treasure, but now he unexpectedly introduces himself. However, everybody including Qingyu is very curious about this immortal Anai Yang because they don't know who he actually is. I, Anai Yang, am an immortal emperor in the immortal world. People call me Immortal Emperor Anai Yang. Immortal Anai Yang says the first sentence. Immortal Emperor. Everybody is astounded. But they immediately become even more excited. No wonder he doesn't care about such a precious immortal mansion in the slightest. It turns out he's an immortal emperor. Now that they know this Anai Yang is an immortal emperor, everybody at the scene looks forward to the treasure even more. You don't know how formidable I am if I'm only talking about immortal emperors. Immortals are divided into 3 levels, and each level is divided into 9 levels. They are celestial immortal, golden immortal, and mysterious immortal respectively. The gap between each level is so big that it's insurmountable. Immortal Emperor An starts to introduce himself carefully. Obviously, he thinks these people won't know how formidable he is if he doesn't introduce himself clearly. There are countless celestial immortals in the immortal world. But celestial immortals are divided into 9 levels. Only after breaking through level 9 celestial immortal can you become a level 1 golden immortal. The number of golden immortals is 100 times less than that of celestial immortals, but it's still not rare. What's rare are mysterious immortals. Even though mysterious immortals are divided into 9 levels, no matter if you're a level 1 mystic immortal or the strongest level 9 mystic immortal, you're all qualified to be called an immortal emperor. Immortal An says very clearly. Therefore, there are quite a few mysterious immortals who call themselves immortal emperors in the immortal world. The gap between their power is also very big. A level 1 mystic immortal who occupies a few planets dares to call himself an immortal emperor. A level 6 or 7 mystic immortal who occupies thousands or tens of thousands of practicing planets also calls himself an immortal emperor. Even though they're all immortal emperors, the gap between them is like heaven and earth. Immortal An tone shows that he doesn't care too much about a level 1 mystic immortal emperor. You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.